Sunday, a day of rest all over the world, but not for Super League triathletes in Malta. It is day 2 of our multi-day format, and overcast and blustery conditions greeting the athletes as the women's Equalizer is set to come up. But isn't that a beautiful shot of Burgoo Marina, where all the action is taking place here just by Valletta, the capital city in Malta. My name is Will McCloy, and it's my pleasure to bring to you the second day of the second round of Super League Triathlon. We are here in Malta. We're in Mallorca next weekend. 2 weekends of back-to-back racing. The women's Equalizer, as I said, just a few minutes away. Yesterday was dominated by American Katie Zafiris, who has not been beaten in Super League so far. And this is how it all played out on Saturday here in Super League Malta. And it's a clean start. Already it's Emma Jeffcoat leading there. Plenty of panic at the back of the pack because the day will be over early for 5 athletes.
I'd expect to see Katie Zafiris just take close order of this. She doesn't want to push it on too much.
At the moment, there's a big gap back to the bottom 5 as it stands. At the end of this, there's a 10-minute break, and we go again. Zafiris off the front, 3:41 into transition. It is Katie Zafiris, your eliminator champion, and she has absolutely dominated the field. She won in Jersey 2017, she won in Jersey 3 weeks ago, and she took all 3 stages. Katie Zafiris, dominant American. Alongside me right now, dual and reigning Olympic gold medalist Alistair Brownlee, 2-time Ironman world champ Chris McCormack. Before we talk about today, guys, and we've only got a few minutes to go, let's talk about yesterday and the dominance from Katie Zafiris. It was unbelievable, wasn't it, really?
Katie Zafiris was amazing yesterday. You know, she dominated pretty much most of the racing, apart from that first swim in the first leg. She was pretty much at the front of the race for the whole day and went away with a big gap. I think, if anything, today's going to play even more into her strengths.
Oh, I hope it doesn't, just for the sake of racing in general, but she has been certainly strong. Let's have a look at the results as they stand after yesterday. Stage 3 only had 8 women because there was 10 eliminated athletes, and here they are. 13 seconds in the end from Rachel Klammer, the Dutch, who came home with a strong run. Joanna Brown came in 6 seconds back, the Canadian. Taylor Spivey, who will lead off today, she was 24 seconds back. Jodie Stimson, Charlotte McShane, the Aussie, Kirsten Casper, and Summer Cook. That wraps us up. And here are some shots of them warming up this morning because, as I say, once you finish on day 1, day 2 comes at you pretty fast. And Macca, that's where Super League really comes into its own, isn't it? It's triathlon, but it's not as you know it.
It's multi-day of racing. We've shortened the dynamics of the courses. We've made them very technical. They're very, very short events, 300-metre swim, and different formats. So today's format in particular, Equalizer, is one that I'm really looking forward to seeing.
It favours sort of explosive energy, but also you need that endurance in your legs, and sometimes the older athletes, that's where they come into their own on the second day.
And it brings the transitions into play, which is something that triathlon hasn't done in the past. We saw a lot of that yesterday in the women's racing. Katie was magnificent through transitions, and in the men's race it set it up for Richard Murray.
It's been a fantastic week here for the athletes in Malta. They all got here earlier on in the week, and I've had the chance to take in the sights and sounds, which has been fantastic. And one special thing that happened, that's Jake Vella there in the blue shirt, and he's got a very rare condition called ROHAD. Only 75 people in the world have got it, and his dream was to meet the Brownlees. He couldn't travel, so we brought the Brownlees to him, and Ali, that was pretty special.
It was very special. I've heard a lot about Jake's story over the last few years, and actually got the chance to meet him over Skype last year before meeting him for real life this time. So what an amazing kid, and that's one of the fantastic things about triathlon, that its inspiration reaches so many places, so many corners of the world and so many people, and it's fantastic that it's reached Jake and is inspiring him to do some exercise and exercise more.
Yeah, it wasn't the whole reason that we brought Super League to Malta, but it was a big part of it, and Jake's been here watching across the course of the weekend and enjoying every minute of it. Now, he will be enjoying the Equalizer, which is coming up in just a few minutes with the women's and then later on the men's, and this is what the Equalizer is all about. The Equalizer, exactly what it sounds like. Levelling the playing field through 2 distinct stages. Firstly, testing an athlete's pure single discipline speed, and then their willingness to suffer. Stage number 1, a time trial, racing in its purest form, no one else around and nowhere to hide. The only triathlon format which highlights an athlete's single discipline strength or weakness. Perform poorly and you'll pay for it in stage 2, a 6-leg enduro. Swim, bike, run. Swim, bike, run. This one is a pursued start, where every second lost in the time trial means another second standing on the start line, watching your rivals disappear. First across the line wins, everyone else works out where it all went wrong. The Equalizer, one of the 5 formats, doing exactly what it is meant to do and level the playing field. The individual time trial was held on Friday afternoon here in the harbour, and there's about a minute split between the fastest and slowest athletes, and the 90-second rule comes into play. If you fall in through transition 90 seconds back at any time, you are eliminated, and that is in stage 2, which is what we're about to see. Swim, bike, run, 5 transitions, and 6 legs. Winner takes all at the end of that. And there's another little wrinkle. If that wasn't enough, we're introducing another innovation called the Super Shoot. You can see it there at the top of your screen. The black barrier is just about 10 or so metres before the top of the course. And Macca, tell me about what this means.
Well, the Super Shoot was an innovation we brought into this race to give all the athletes like a joker card where they can take a shortcut on the bike or the run course at any point in the race once to give them an advantage strategically to get back in the race or to win the event.
All right, so Ali, if this was you out there racing, and I guess the advantage is greater in the run because it takes the runners a little bit longer to get up around the top of the course, would you definitely take it then? And well, what would you do, really?
Well, we reckon it's a 3 to 4 advantage on the bike, second advantage, 5 to 6 second advantage on the run. So yeah, technically more of an advantage on the run, but it depends. It depends where you're racing. You know, so for example, Richard Murray is going to be coming from behind. He wants to make the front of the race almost as quick as he can. You could definitely make the argument that he wants to take it early on the bike and you know, lose that couple of seconds advantage. You could potentially get over it on the run. The guys who are at the front, Henry Schumann and Vincent Louis, if they end up together, I'd expect to see them probably wanting to save it to the back end. You know, it's kind of a game of poker then. If someone takes it early and someone's got it to that last, 5 or 6 seconds on the last lap, the last leg of the run, massive advantage. So
absolutely,
it's going to become really tactical. It's going to be really, really interesting and great to watch.
Yeah, you've got to be able to think on your feet. That's what Super League Triathlon is all about. Now, it all started, as I said, on Friday afternoon in the individual time trial, and this is how the women's played out. Super League Triathlon Malta is underway with the individual time trial Friday afternoon. Beautiful conditions, and Taylor Spivey, who didn't race in Jersey, leads us off. She's a fantastic swimmer, the American. And you can see a classic triathlete stroke too from Taylor Spivey. Just because she's starting things off doesn't mean she's slowed. Here comes Danny DiFrancesco as well. Led the swim out of the water in Noosa in 2016, announced herself to the world as a 22-year-old. Now she's 24, still working on the other elements of her race, but she is a super fish. There is no doubt about it. So let's keep an eye on Danny DiFrancesco. But how good is this swim course? 2 laps in the waters here in the end of the harbour in Burgoo, and just historic. That little rainbow colour there is Jodie Stimson in the yellow alongside all of our split leaders from Jersey, the favourites. Katie Zafiris in the pink. She is going to be hard to beat. DiFrancesco in the water, classic swimmer's stroke. And here goes Summer Cook, wearing the red by virtue of having the quickest run, and a very different stroke from her, way more of a triathlete stroke rather than a classic swimmer's stroke, but she gets the job done, Summer Cook. Maybe not as good on the bike, but she's certainly good in the water. But the woman they're all chasing, Katie Zafiris, has never lost a round of Super League. She won in Jersey in the inaugural women's race in 2017. She won again 3 weeks ago in Jersey and comes to Malta as the raging hot favourite. She may not be the quickest in the water, but she'll be in the top 5, barring some kind of mishap. But there you go. Taylor Spivey, the first out of the water, 7:04. That is a quick time. Yuko Takahashi also missed out on Jersey, so she started off with a 7:10, but they will prove to be very, very quick times, you would have thought. Out of the water now comes Danny DiFrancesco, 7:13, and we know how good a swimmer she is, and that speaks volumes for the effort from Taylor Spivey. But currently in 3rd position, Danny DiFrancesco. But that could all change. There is Katie Zafiris rounding the top 4 on the first of her 2 laps. We have to keep an eye on her. She gets into her work so well, Katie Zafiris. Really doesn't have a weakness. Super consistent. And that's what Super League requires. Here comes Summer Cook out of the water. Of course, the time doesn't stop until they cross the timing mat, so the slippery ladder, all part of it. And Cook does a 7:12, which means she's pipped Danny DiFrancesco by 1 second into 3rd position. And here comes Katie Zafiris. What's her time? 7:11, can you believe that? 7:11, 7:12, 7:13. Katie Zafiris goes into third, so there'll be a tight group heading off the pontoon. But ahead of all of them will be Taylor Spivey, who ends up a clear 6 seconds better than everyone else. What a way to announce yourself back into Super League Triathlon racing. She'll be off the pontoon first in the Equalizer ahead of Yuko Takahashi, Katie Zafiris, Summer Cook and Danny DiFrancesco. Kirsten Casper a further second back. What racing for the ITT? The conditions a little bit blustery and just the first few spots of rain coming down on this fantastic course here in Burgoo. And in Burgoo Harbour, there is the swim, very quick out to the first left-hand turn and then left-hand back in again, 300 metres. The swim, the run and the bike are both on the same course. That first turn and then up Mount Malta there at Trix St. Lorenz is tough. There's a significant headwind there. The super chute at the top of the course you can see, and then a very quick downhill to a 160-degree turn. A little bit of an S-bend back into transition. Plenty of laps of that coming up, and Annie Emerson will be on the course all the way through. Annie.
Well, the second day of tough racing, and there are some tired bodies around here. I'm joined by Taylor, who's going off 6 seconds advantage, but you're going to have some very fast swimmers hot on your heels. What's your strategy today?
My strategy is just to, really go hard from the start, and hopefully the field breaks apart so we can get a little pack, a breakaway pack, and stay away from those people that are chasing.
So the conditions a little bit different today. How is that going to impact the race?
I think it's similar to yesterday. It seems like it might start sprinkling soon, but you never know. This course is so hard, and you don't know how people will feel after yesterday.
Okay, well, that's it. But I think the athlete that is all the athletes are going to be chasing after is Katie Zafiris. That's for sure. Back to you, Will.
That's right, Katie Zafiris in the pink gear. You can see at the back of shot. She will start 7 seconds back, but she's the one everyone will be chasing. Yuko Takahashi, who's new to Super League Triathlon, will start a second ahead of Zafiris, but 6 seconds behind Spivey. Summer Cook 8 seconds, DiFrancesco 9 and Casper 10. There are some groups there, and as Ali and Mac have joined me in commentary, it's nice to be part of a group. It just worked out that way. There are a couple of people, and I want to point out Claire Michelle there, who's 38 seconds back. She's 4 seconds behind a group, or Megan Foley, another 4 seconds behind Joe Brown. And then there's 12 seconds back. So it's really a question of not getting isolated, and what does she do?
Well, we saw that yesterday. Those on the hill, especially with the headwind coming up that are on their own, really struggled later in the race. So you look at those packs, especially around Katie Zafiris in that first swim bike section, they could get together and do some damage.
And they would have been talking, I suppose, to each other a little bit in the hour or so beforehand. And as we look at the explainer of the Equalizer, stage 1 is the time trial we just saw, and then the finish times determine your time penalty behind Taylor Spivey, who was fastest for stage 2. Swim, bike, run, 5 transitions, 6 legs, first across the line wins. Now there's going to be one thing we need to keep in mind, the 90-second rule, and I keep harping on about that, but already there are athletes that are starting nearly a minute back. If they finish 90 seconds behind at any point through transition, if they come through, they will be eliminated from this race. So live eliminations, and there is Sarah Alexander and Claudia Seebock to the right of your screen. They are the ones in most danger. They'll start off 58 seconds and a minute 02 back already. So plenty to think about for those athletes closest to us now, who start off nearly a minute back, and that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think there's obviously the two girls at the back there, Seebock and Alexander. It's awfully hard to see them getting themselves back in the race, under any circumstance. That's a long way back, and it's going to be fast from the front.
And they lost that time on a swim TT, so they're about to start another swim, which makes it very, very difficult.
An isolated one as well, so they've got no feet to follow or anything. I think there's the Spivey out front, and then from second place, which is Takahashi, down to 7th, which is Jeff Coate. There's 6 girls there that are probably in there, and they can work together and get up to the front, and I think they're still in it. The real key here is going to be, can Clammer and McShane get on and get through to those girls in front, basically on the first triathlon. Behind that, Simpson and Storia, I think, and Brown, is a big name that far back. But
here we go. Taylor Spivey, there goes the hooter from Michael Thompson, our race director, and Taylor Spivey will have 6 seconds on her own. All the eyes in the triathlon world on Taylor Spivey. Yuko Takahashi now in, Zafiris, Cook, DiFrancesco. There is Emma Jeffcoat in the blue. She had the fastest swim in Jersey. Rachel Clammer waiting now. She's in. 5 seconds back to Charlotte McShane, number 24. She's about to head into the water. Jodie Stimpson right behind her. And it's a tough wait watching the rest of the field disappear from you. You can see Sarah Alexander at the back of the field watching as everyone disappears into the distance.
These
Megan,
gaps are actually quite smaller than you think. You know, because you're swimming, you're not running. They're quite compressed, and you've got a big advantage. Probably at least 10, maybe even 15 metres behind you. You know, you're in that draft zone, and you've got an advantage on the person in front. So that's why we're seeing quite quickly. I'm not sure who that is in second place. I imagine it's probably Zafares or maybe Cook, but swimming through, or it could be Takahashi. But that gap is closed pretty much already. They're within a body length. That person's swimming hard, and this group is together straight away, and Spivey's lead is I think that is Takahashi there in seconds, swimming quickly up to him because Zafira is there just to her right, I think, and so yeah, it's gone, and this group is effectively together, and her advantage is gone already.
It's actually a nicer swim. It's not so rough around the first swim buoy like we saw yesterday. A lot of the athletes got beaten up, so you get a nice cleaner run through the swim buoy and you're able to settle in.
Yeah, having said that, though, I mean, if you didn't do that well in a swim time trial and you're on your own, you're effectively in another swim time trial. And the first 900 metres of the Equalizer is a swim time trial for you, and you see your time disappearing more and more, whereas you can't get on the feet. And for those who, I guess, are newer to triathlon, how much of an advantage is there to be on the feet of someone, Ali?
Massive advantage. It's hard to put it in percent because it depends exactly where you are and where the current is, but you know, even a 10% when you're going almost as high as you can is enormous. And we're seeing here there's these 7 girls at the front, and whoever's in 8th there, and it's either Clammer or McShane, is in, you know, she's having to swim on her own. She's not quite, probably a bit too far back to get the pull. She's probably still getting some pull, but at the end of the day, Spivey's quite a lot faster swimmer than her, so she might be getting a bit of a pull, but she's certainly not gaining. And then there's 2 more behind them, and these gaps are just increasing. You know, had this been an even longer swim, I think this race would explode here, and the gaps would end up enormous.
At the moment, there could be some athletes worryingly close to the 90-second bubble at the back of this field, because there's a nice pack working with each other off the back of Taylor Spivey, and then a few individual swimmers behind them. And we'll see when we come out of the water exactly what the time is. But it's a short swim, 300 metres, and we're going to limit the problems there. Who is that?
Rachel, I'm pretty sure it's like Rachel Clammer. I'm not sure, but yeah, she's swimming hard. And I don't know, is that 5 or 6 seconds from the back of that pack? You know, a really good fast transition here, and a good first hill on the bike would probably get her on the back. When you get a pack like this, you can always expect it's going to kind of expand on the road, as it were. So, you know, it's going to spread out from 1 or 2 seconds between them, maybe up to 10 seconds between them, and that gives some of these girls a chance to just get on the back, and hopefully she'll be able to use that on this first lap of the bike to get herself back in contact.
Good transition from Spivey as she crossed the line first. You can see the clock in back of shot there ticking away. There is Katie Zafira. She always has great transitions. Emma Jeffcoat as well. And Yuko Takahashi, and still people are coming out of the water. Jodie Stimpson, Erin Story coming out of the water. Joanna Brown, who didn't finish to start too far back, but there you go. Rachel Clammer, she was all on her own, and Charlotte McShane's looking for her bike. She got momentarily confused there, so that might cost her a second, which we've seen across the course of Super League can really hurt you in terms of getting on the back of a pack. Jodie Stimpson, Erin Story now running through shot. So the time is ticking, and these gaps will only expand.
Yeah, well, it's hard for us to tell watching it, but you can see from the clock on the side of the course, you know, the field is actually now spread over more like 45 seconds when they started 30 seconds down. So it has actually spread out even more, even though it's kind of hard to work that out in the action. We're seeing slightly different, you know, most of the girls here are sticking their hat and goggles down the front of the tri-suit, so it means they can put it on at the back end of the run on the first time they've done the leg, and Katie Zafira is pushing it on the front where she's been pretty much the whole race, and that is Rachel Clammer chasing hard behind. You know, we can see her there on her own. She has to go all in here, and probably use the chute as well.
And Summer Cook's been dropped off the back. I wonder if Rachel Clammer will use the chute now. This is an opportunity to use it to get onto this group.
Here we go. There's the chute there. You can see that the first black turn, and they've all opted against it on the first bike. Cook would have had to think about it to get on the back of this pack, but she's not too far back, and she'll have to bomb it down the hill. Maybe that's what she's thinking, just keep it in hand, but no one's taken it yet.
That's interesting.
Clammer decided against it.
She had the chance there to get on the pack straight away easily, and she's backing herself. Maybe she thinks she's got the legs over this first bike leg to actually ride herself back in and save it.
It's a long race, I guess. It's a long race.
It is, but again, you know, it's easier being in this pack, and you know, then you're in the race rather than chasing, and it's always a bit easier being in the race. She has to get herself past Summer Cook here. Summer Cook is going to go off the back again, I imagine. She's probably even tighter than she was yesterday. Her nerves are even more on edge, and she'll be technically even a bit worse. So Clammer's going to have to get up to Cook, get past her, and then get herself on the back of this group.
Just an update on the timing splits. Both Sarah Alexander and Claudia Seebock started 55 seconds back. So there's a bit of hustle and muscle between Takahashi and Tafiris. And now they're 107 back through the first transition. So they've lost 12 seconds.
It's not as bad as I anticipated. If you work out the 600-metre time trial, they lost a minute. So I was looking at about 30 seconds. So they've actually swum better.
Yeah, a little bit better, but still they're nearing the danger zone, it has to be said, because this front pack are taking no prisoners, and there's a string behind them. But Takahashi now leading the way from Jeff Coates, Zafiris in behind in the pink. That means she's the championship leader. That's what the pink designates. And the green of Kirsten Casper behind. That means she's the fastest on the bike. From Jersey, Di Francesco, the Australian number 94. You can see they're up in the saddle. And Summer Cook has managed, I think, to tack herself on behind this group as they head up Malta Mountain for the second time. Number 2 lap on the bike. Don't forget, this is a 6-leg race. Swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. 90-second rule only counts when they come through transition, not during a leg, but only at the end of the leg. And they've all decided again on this lap of the bike to keep that joker card, if you like, the super shoot, in hand.
And Clammer hasn't taken it again.
I think she's going to get on here.
Yeah.
I think they're slowed up. Cook's back on the back of the group. We saw Takahashi on the front. We didn't see her on the front much yesterday, so it probably means it's a bit slower. We saw Zafiris on the front a lot. She doesn't really need to push it here. I think she knows she can probably beat them in the back half. She needs to keep herself safe, judge the effort. And she doesn't really need to explode the field this early on.
She's on.
Yeah, so they really slowed up in that last lap, and that's allowed Clammer to get back into it.
And she was magnificent yesterday, finishing second overall, so she's in good form. She ran really well yesterday, so it'll be, if she gets onto this group, saves her legs. It's a swim where she's now with the group.
Yeah, got that momentum and that confidence, and decided that she could do the job, and it looks like it's working out for her. There's Vincent Louis there just giving instructions to his partner, Taylor Spivey. He's our men's championship leader. We'll see him in action a little bit later on in this exact same format. But at the moment, it's a group of 7 with Rachel Clammer looking to close down that gap behind and make it a group of 8, and then pairs of athletes coming through with big gaps.
Those two behind that, Jodie Simpson and Charlotte McShane, they're actually quite a way back now, about 25 seconds. But I think they've actually taken a bit of time out of the group in front. It was more like 40 when they actually set out off on the bike. So this field might be just coming back together a bit here. And maybe this is when Zafiris decides to keep the pace a little bit high. Don't let too many people back in the race. She's thinking, the less people here, the more likely it is, obviously, that I'm going to win, and also the safer it is. There's not people going to get in my way. There's no crashes. So that's probably going through her head as well. And you can see the speed up the hill this time is just this little bit more on than it was the time before.
Rachel Clammer's had a huge hill. She's about to get on here. She's come right up the back. I think you're right. I think Katie Zafiris went to the front. She did that a lot yesterday. Drove the pace, but she's on. Rachel Clammer's on.
We know that headwind, though. We had to walk up that hill before. It's very blustery, and the advantage if you can ride up in a pack and get behind someone, especially if you're a small body like Rachel Clammer is big, so I don't know how many matches she's burnt to get into that pack, but there she is now.
Straight around Summer
moving into 7th.
Yeah, right around Summer.
She does not want to be on that wheel going down the hill and into the corner. She knows that's an extra 10 seconds of effort that she's going to have to push out, so that's why she went round her at the first opportunity. It has come, we saw there the 2 or 3 girls behind, which was Simpson and McShane, and one of them just looked like she was about to get on the back of those. That's closer than it was the lap before, I think. So if this slows down any more, stays at this pace, you're allowing more people back in the race, which I expect they'll just keep it fast enough to not allow that.
I think Claudia Seebock might be being eliminated if things go as the way they are, and there she is on screen right now. She's all by herself at 1:23 through on that lap of the bike, but Elena Danilova, Sarah Alexander have steadied the ship somewhat at 1:11. Further back in that field, Claire Michelle 53 seconds back, Desiree Ryden are 51 seconds back, and Erin Story is at 39 seconds back. So we'll keep an eye on all of that, and obviously bring you the action if athletes do indeed get eliminated. But this is the front pack of 8.
Simpson McShane 23 seconds back at the end of that lap. Yep. They started this at 22 seconds back, so it's kind of neutral so far. They haven't. I think they probably had a little bit more time coming off the swim, and now they've got a little bit less. But they're just absolutely fighting for survival here.
Yeah, they started this entire race 22 seconds back, so it's interesting how things are steady midfield, but tailing off a little bit at the back, if you like. There is Megan Foley, who had a difficult day out yesterday at 38 seconds back. Joanna Brown, Commonwealth Games bronze medalist at 30 seconds back, and you can see just how tough these formats are when you've got such quality athletes who are finding themselves half a minute back. And that's what I guess, Macca, was inside your mind at the very beginning of all of this.
Well, this format in particular is one I really like because it does give the advantage to those athletes that are usually disadvantaged in triathlon, both the swimmers or the bikers in the 2 TTs we've had. So it's interesting. Joanna Brown yesterday was magnificent, finishing third, and at 30 seconds back it could affect her whole round position. So it'll be interesting to see if she can pull some time up.
Yeah, I think the top 3 places are going to be a real struggle for Joanna Brown here, unless she can pull out something really special in this run. We know the run is a strength, but she's going to need to pull out, catching 30 seconds.
Here we go. That is the dreaded yellow flag, and Claudia Seebock, unfortunately, has run afoul of it. So she is our first athlete, the 21-year-old Hungarian, to be eliminated and falling 90 seconds back as they come into transition. You can see the feet out of the shoes as they get ready for the first run. And, of course, this is a little bit longer than the usual run laps. We don't have the uphill finish because this is a mid-race run straight back into the swim. So 2 full laps of Malta Mountain and then down the drop through transition twice. Hasn't happened before this weekend.
Some of the girls are putting the bikes in backwards there, which is actually a really sensible thing to do because the next time you're going to see your bike, you want to pull it straight out, not having to lose a bit of time pulling it out backwards and turning it around. So that's some good, sensible racing, and it's one of the things that people are learning for this very new format of racing. What's the best way to do it? Jo Brown has had a good bike leg there. She was behind these two going into it, and she's ridden herself up to them. So she's doing a good job of pulling herself back into this race. But that said, she needs 20 seconds on those front girls in this if she's got any chance of staying in, because she's going to lose some more time on the swim probably.
And she threw a helmet in the box, which makes it difficult come the second time for transition. She's got to take that helmet out of the box, fix it and go. So
Megan Foley there just watching the seconds tick by. Danny Di Francesco looks like she might be seeing the rubber band snap a little bit for her. She had a great swim, and she is a great swimmer. She's 6 seconds back, but there she is just rounding the bend and watching the top 7 really put the hammer down, and led by Katie Zafiris. It's such a familiar sight. There's your 1-2 from yesterday's racing. Is now 1-2 as we head up Malta Mountain on the run for the first time. All of our top split leaders, and that's why you can see the rainbow of colours are in this group. There's Elena Danilova and Sarah Alexander, who are right on the cusp.
Zafiris is just controlling this. She's got a really kind of easy-looking face there. She's not going too hard, but she's still actually putting the girls behind her in some bit of stress. Like Clammer's dropping back there. She's right on her shoulder, and there's a few meters now, so she's been able to push the pace and make it hard for these other girls without really hurting herself too much. So it just shows the kind of level she's at, and why she won so comfortably yesterday. I mean, she's just so good at this kind of racing. She just looks
exactly the same from leg 1 to leg 6. We could throw 15 legs at her, and I feel like she'd look exactly the same at the end of that. And we come up to the the super shoot, for the first time during the run leg, and no one has elected to take it, even though there's an advantage that's probably a couple of seconds more because it takes obviously longer to get around the top as a runner, and no one's elected to take it yet. So they're just playing the game and leaving it in the back pocket maybe for the second of the 2 sprint triathlons. And here is Jodie Stimson and Charlotte McShane.
I think it's absolutely bonkers maybe that Joanna Brown hasn't taken a super shoot there. She basically had the chance to get herself back in this race, back to the front, back into the leading pack and give herself at least a shot of being competitive in the race, and she's decided not to do it. But maybe she's thinking save it to the last leg, but she had a chance of getting herself straight back up to the front.
I'm wondering if they'll use that on the next lap. You've got a bit more cumulative fatigue and maybe a little slower. Someone's used it.
So it has started to be used. It hasn't been on our screens, but the super shoot has been used by Jodie Stimson and Charlotte McShane already. And that was out of shot on the bike, as well as Megan Foley, Claire Michelle, Desiree Ryder, Erin Story, Sarah Alexander and Elena Danilova. They've all used them as we followed the front pack around, would have used them on the bike or on the first lap now of the run. I think that's when we've seen it, because it just popped up on our timing screens.
Joanna Brown's used it on that bike. Remember, she said
no, she's the only one. She
hasn't used it.
Yeah. The only one from the bottom 9 through 17 who hasn't used it.
Wow.
Yeah. So everyone else has seen the panic and used it already. And our top 8, who we've been following, none of them have yet to use the short shoot.
I'd expect some of them to use it on this lap now, because if you're Taylor Spivey here or Takahashi, to stay in this race, you want to use it here because it's going to give you that.
Jeffcoat.
Yeah, I mean, she should definitely use it as well.
Yep.
The other reason for using it is if you're Rachel Clammer and you know your swim isn't your strongest and there's just a gap of a few seconds in front of you, you could basically leapfrog this whole group, make sure you get in the water first, and you're making people swim past you in the water rather than scrambling around trying to get the feet. So there's a really good argument to say she should use it now as well if she wants to keep herself in this race.
All right, Danielle Di Francesco has put the brakes on in a big way. She had a great first 10 or so minutes of this racing, but she's dropped down to 11th position behind Joanna Brown, Charlotte McShane and Jodie Stimson, so she's finding the going a little bit tough now. 30 seconds back, 33 you can see there at the bottom of your screen on the right, while the pace is being pushed by Katie Zafiris, Kirsten Casper and Summer Cook, your overall leader, your bike leader from Jersey and your run leader from Jersey.
All Americans,
all in the top 5 in our championship standings, and now fighting it out, these 3 for the front of this race.
Even though Jodie Stimson and McShane used the short chute, they've actually lost time to the front. So that shows that Zafiris is actually running pretty quick here and putting the other girls under pressure, and that's why this front group is split completely. We're seeing the Erin Story there.
Story there is one of the Americans qualified through Penticton. Elena Danilova and Sarah Alexander. Their races are over. A big lap.
The trio of Americans at the front here, the trio in the coloured suits, and they're looking pretty comfortable, I'd say. And Clammer's still going hard at the back. It's going to be. Let's see.
Does she take it here?
Does she take it? Yeah, that's.
4th up the hill, you can see behind the 3 Americans, and we're going to wait and see from our drone shot whether she's going to take it, and it doesn't look like she is going to take it.
Not going to take it. No.
What about these 2 behind? That would be Takahashi and Taylor Spivey.
No.
No. Oh, no.
I suppose they are the fastest 2 swimmers. They might back themselves to get themselves back on here. For Clammer, it's a bit more of a risk that she's taking because if she was in the front, diving in the water in front of these girls, guaranteed she's going to be on at the end of the swim.
Well, Cook's really put the hammer down the hill. Maybe she wants
that
first spot.
I think 1 lap too late. She had the chance to get herself back in, and she's lost it now. Yeah.
That's around an 8-second advantage at that point in the race in terms of how fast they're running, as Clammer looks to hang on to the back of these 3, and already you can see Katie Zafiris, Clammer, and now all of them looking around, this is all new, really. This is new stuff for triathlon, to have to think about putting your goggles and your cap on to waste no time, because very rarely do you come off a run and head into a swim, and that's what testing triathletes is all about, and that's what Super League is all about.
Summer Cook said this morning that yesterday her run on that downhill was very, very average, so it was good to see her move to the front. It's the first time we've seen Katie Zafiris with company at this point in a race, so it makes it very, very interesting.
It looks like Samit Casper is actually the best downhill runner there. Every time she moved to the front, Zafiris took it a bit steady. I mean, you might not be going absolutely max down that hill, but if you're good at it, you can actually recover while you're running downhill and run faster than other people. So it's a double positive.
Yeah.
Clammer needs a great transition here to make sure she doesn't. If she loses any time and there's some clear water in front of her, that could be her struggling in the rest of this race. But if she's quick through it and she gets straight on the feet, and she's really close. So hopefully she looks like she's going to be okay here.
All right, a little bit of a left and right here through and the front of the cafe. Great spot for young and old to watch the second of these 2 sprint triathlons back-to-back. Rachel Clammer into the water behind the trio of Americans, and the rest coming into transition, popping their shoes off, making it ready for next time through. Jeffcoat being caught there by Stimson and McShane, and Joanna Brown, who's taken the short chute now, as has everyone bar the top 7, is into the water.
Yeah, and Joanna Brown's got a crucial swim there. If she can get herself back in contact with the 2 girls in front of her, which is Spivey and Takahashi, they're both great swimmers. If she can just have a good first few hundred metres and get on their feet, she's back in the hunt in a way. I think these top 3 or 4 might be away. But we'll see. Katie Zafiris is not leading the swim out. We've seen her lead most of the swim, and there's some clear water back from her there. This clear water back to Rachel Clammer could be crucial for the rest of Clammer's race. We're just waiting until the camera pans out to see how far that clear water is. But if that starts getting 5-10 metres, that's extra time that she's losing.
Di Francesco with the goggles on. She was in the lead pack coming out of the water the first time. She's found the going a little hard, as have some of our other athletes. Megan Foley, the third of the other trio of Americans, and Desiree Ryden in the white, as she's one of our young athletes, the Canadian They fall foul of the yellow flag as well, which has been waving pretty consistently across the course of the first part of this race. So we're losing people left, right and centre. We've got 12 left in this race, and on the bubble now, Claire Michelle and Danielle Di Francesco. Joanna Brown in 10th. Charlotte McShane we can see in the water there, a little bit back from this trio. Jodie Stimson, Emma Jeffcoat, Taylor Spivey, Yuko Takahashi, Rachel Klammer, and these three.
Klammer's swimming herself back into this, so she's not far off. I think the pace isn't on here. We're seeing that Summer Cook, I think, is the one on the front there, and it doesn't look to me like Zafira is swimming that fast. When we saw her yesterday really pushing it on the front of the swim, fast turnover, big leg kick, high in the water, and none of those are there. So I think she's really happy with this position. The race is splitting up for her, and she's not having to do the work for it. But that said, that is allowing Klammer and probably even Taylor Spivey and Takahashi to get back in this race, because they're not that far behind either. This is rounding the last buoy now,
Summer Cook.
Yeah, they're in the last kind of 100 metres of the swim. And that's definitely Summer Cook leading, and Klammer is back on. These girls are both completely isolated here, and this is a day of just trying to keep themselves in it now.
I think you're right. Joanna Brown should have taken that short shoot one lap earlier on the run. She would have been a lot closer.
Well, there's a psychological effect of being in the race and near the front, isn't there? And I think you probably want to always be competitive and be in the race on the whole, and that would have allowed her to do that. We're seeing Spivey and Takahashi swim right up there, and Joanna Brown wasn't far off. If she'd literally just had another 3, 4, 5 seconds, she could be in this race now.
Summer Cook.
Yeah, Summer Cook exiting the water first. That's Kirsten Casper and Zafira. Let's see if she's aggressive. You know, we haven't seen her aggressive today yet, I don't think. If she's aggressive on this first lap, it could make a big difference to the race, because I'd say they're all probably relatively close to the red line now, if not over it, and Zafira is probably the one who's furthest away from it. She didn't look like she had to exert herself too much on that swim.
And this is Rachel Klammer's most important transition of the weekend.
Well, we've said that a few times already, but every preceding one gets even more important, I think. There's Simpson and Jeffcoat coming out now. They're fighting. I think it's going to be hard for them to get back in this race unless it slows down. And this is Joanna Brown. If she can have a great first couple of laps on the bike, maybe she can get herself back in it. But I think it's a big struggle. So she had to take her bike out backwards there, which maybe cost her a couple of seconds. If she'd put it in backwards, who knows? She might have just got it out that bit faster and might be going already. They've got to get their shoes on now from the kind of the non. Flat position. That's really hard, because as you kind of get on it, your shoes are spinning round, and it's really hard to get your feet planted flat on your shoes and then get your feet in your shoes. All right. See Summer Cook on the front of the bike here, pushing it on her. We keep seeing that when she's actually on a straight upper road, she's strong. She's a strong bike rider. She just doesn't like going round corners.
There is our leading trio, and important to understand that this is multi-day racing. 50 total round points on offer. Katie Zafiris took the top 25 yesterday, and next to her is two people who are not anywhere near her on the points, in terms of Casper on 10 points and Cook on 8 points from yesterday's racing. So she can finish third at this point, Katie Zafiris, and she still will win the $20,000. She still will win the round.
Claire Michelle out there. I was going to say I thought she was very close to the time limit there, if not over it.
Yeah.
No, didn't take it. I thought Rachel Klammer might have grabbed the short chute then and got on the back of them. But it would be difficult coming into the run.
They're all playing the long game here, aren't they? They're going, actually, we're playing the long game, and we're going to back ourselves to get ourselves into it. And if we take it early, we're basically at an advantage going into that last leg. Slightly risky tactic, but I guess, it's kind of going all in for the last leg, which is what we've seen happen a lot so far. It's going to be... Maybe Zafiris might be a bit more aggressive on these laps now. This is getting really to the business end of the leg, and Spivey there is on her own now. So does that mean Takahashi has managed to pull away from her as she chases hard to get back in touch with this trio in front?
All right, Katie Zafiris, Summer Cook and Kirsten Casper, the Americans.
Zafira's moving to the front there, so this might be, and Simpson and Jeffcoat, they are in a battle of survival now as well, I think.
Jeffcoat has not taken the short chute, but Simpson has, so that might make a little bit of a difference in terms of the minor placings.
Probably a good time to take it.
Yeah, it's a good time to take it now, but Katie Zafiris can finish anywhere in the top three and still win this round, and that is important to continue to remember, because $20,000 is on the line for the round winner. She took maximum points yesterday. She could finish third and still have more points than both Kirsten Casper and Summer Cook, no matter what order they finish in. So
I think Joanna Brown's moving up well here. We saw on the last lap that Spivey was on her own, and we saw that's two together. And if those two are Takahashi and Brown, that means that Brown has moved up. We can't see back, but yeah, that means she's moving up the field, and she rides well. You know, we saw on that first leg she rode well. She did really well to keep herself in and compete well yesterday. So yeah, she might be moving through the field for when she needs it. Yeah.
All right, no super shoot taken from our top three. Joanna Brown's the only one that we're talking about here, along with Stimson, who has already taken the super shoot.
It's Clammer, sorry. Yeah, so it's Clammer of Takahashi.
Yeah. I think Summer Cook looks more comfortable with 3 as opposed to the big group. She's staying a lot closer. She seems to get around the corners a lot better. She seems to be not so, what did you say yesterday? Unhappy on the bike. Is she
comfortable?
Yeah, she's way better through this bottom turn.
Yeah, she hasn't actually lost even a bike length of room around that corner, to be fair. But again, I mean, you can see the fact she's tense on a bike and she's relatively strong. You know, if she could sort that out, she should be so much more competitive in this race.
The men warming up not too long now until the men's equalizer gets underway, and that will be an absolute battle royale. But we're still focused on these trio of Americans at the front who just continue to extend the lead and cause some eliminations further back down the pack. And Danielle DiFrancesco is right on the cusp, and we'll see what happens here the next time they come through transition. We might be down to a race in 10. Casper, Zafiris and Cook, and then a gap of around 10 seconds, 9 seconds there to Clammer Takahashi. Further back to Taylor Spivey, 13 seconds behind, and she's the latest through transition. Joe Brown, 10 further seconds back.
This hasn't gone out in this bike leg, though. You know, it hasn't expanded, and actually, if anything, those girls at the back, like Jodie Simpson, might have, see, only 32 seconds.
Yeah.
They've got some time on the front. So that shows us that Zafiris isn't riding hard. You know, is that because she's a bit tired from yesterday, or is she just judging that effort and she knows she's got the measure of these girls?
She knows she's got it in the bag overall if she just takes the two of them with her.
But it's not the absolute domination we were potentially talking about to start with. You know, we thought by this stage she could almost certainly be completely on her own, and it was all a Katie Zafiris race. But yeah, we all
talked about it, didn't we? At what point is Katie Zafiris going to be on her own in this race? And I think I was about 3 legs ago.
And there's 9 girls still in it over a split of 30 seconds. Oh no, Charlotte Michelle there in 10. So it's not been an absolute massive elimination like it could have been, with only 4 or 5 girls potentially left. And I don't know if that is a tactic of the Zafiris or because she's taking it a bit easy. Yeah, that's Taylor Spivey there on her own. I don't know where she got distance from Takahashi, but yeah, this is the last lap now. So.
All right, they head through and off the bike, and that just leaves the run left in this 6-leg enduro, the last time into transition. And there is, at the top of the course, Jeffcoat and Stimson, so they are 35 odd seconds back. And as you say, though, McShane 52 and DiFrancesco still in it at 122, but there are 30 seconds or 33 seconds covering 9 athletes.
Oh no, this isn't the last lap.
Yeah,
sorry,
one to go.
Yes.
Yep, correct.
Cook taking a drink there. You know, it's not a really long race, but it's a long enough race that you probably want to think you're having a bit of nutrition and a bit of water involved. It's also quite humid and muggy. You know, it might not look that warm, but it's quite humid out there, so you probably want to just have a little bit of water involved on board. And this has come back together.
Yeah, back together.
That shows that they haven't been pushing that hard, and right from 1 to 6, and so that's Casper back to Taylor Spivey at the moment. They're all here. Clammer's riding hard there just to close it on this hill. You know, she's had to do a bit of chasing in this race, and she's pulling herself back on it. She knows if she can get on here, she is.
It looks like she is on, and all 6 of those athletes you can see on your screen still have the super shoot in hand. So maybe it's paying off a little bit for Rachel Clammer. She wouldn't want to be the only one in this group to have taken it. And we'll see if they take it on the bike. I'll be surprised if they do. They'll all keep it in hand for the last lap of the run, perhaps.
Yeah, but what's this cost for her? You know, you can see on her face there she has had to max out up this hill. And, once you go over that red line in this racing, it can be really hard to recover. So, she might be there and she might have got herself back in the race now, but she might also be completely
Who can run
gassed.
this one home? I mean, we saw how good her run was yesterday. I mean, she does have something left in the tank. Who else would you pick out here as being a superior runner?
Summer Cook's a magnificent runner. She's in the red runner's jersey. And Casper's a great runner.
I think Takahashi, we don't see a lot of her on the run, so she and Spivey, I think, but the other 4 are actually pretty much up with the 4 best runners in the sport.
Clammer
really.
yesterday was the fastest runner up the climb. She ran herself into second place after Katie, so It'll be interesting now with the short shoot. Does someone save it for the last lap? Does someone take it on the first loop? So
in fact, they're only going up. Well, there's only one opportunity.
Yeah,
they're going to finish at the top of the hill, so they're all going to take it together.
So I hope
it's
they
a
take it on the
1.5
first
lap.
lap.
So if they don't, there's going to be problems.
Good point.
All right, it's a race in 6. Good transitions. It looked like from everybody, and Kirsten Casper had a superior transition to Katie Zafiris.
Summer Cook lost herself a few seconds there through transition, as did Zafiris. I think that was just slow. This is Jo Brown. She spent the whole race chasing as well, as is Jodie Simpson. And these girls are just want to get round this now and not lose 90 seconds. I think, you can see Cook is actually running well. She's close
really well.
straight up to them and is on the shoulders of Zafiris there. So I think she might be on to a good one here. I think. Clammer's running well, but she's
been sitting in that position the whole time?
5 seconds back, and I just get a feeling she might have gone hard on that bike here. It'd be great to see her run. Great performance yesterday on the last lap of that run on the last race, but I think that biking and I think chasing the whole race might just take its toll for her.
Okay, it's been these 3 up the front, and the next 3 pretty much for the whole race. They closed up on the last lap of the bike, but these Americans have responded. There's Jo Brown. You can see the distance as the others have already disappeared most of the way up that hill. And Katie Zafiris is doing what she does best and just staying composed and waiting out to see who's going to make a move on this hill. Beautiful shots from the drone. There's a 6% gradient on that hill. It doesn't do it justice, and it's about 275 metres. And Danielle Di Francesco, excellent effort from her. She'll finish in 10th position overall. She nearly made it into the run. Charlotte McShane is the next back at 101, but we don't need to worry about eliminations anymore. Just one more lap of this race course.
And one more climb.
And we didn't see this yesterday, and actually Zafiris involved in a tight race for the race, so this is going to be good on the last lap. We didn't see her, and the downhill here is really going to matter, so it's going to be great to see who takes it on. They're all going for the super shoot, obviously, at this point, which shows, well, great. It's good that they're all still thinking clearly, and I think, Clammer is out of it. You can see
she's really punching.
She hasn't got up that hill anywhere near as well. Yeah, Summer Cook, there she is. She said she was good at downhill, and she's opening up that stride and got the longer, whereas the girls with the shorter stride, Zafiris and Casper, just aren't opening up and going as fast down the hill. And I know she's coming now, but there's quite a lot of running left from this bottom corner. You've got that bit on the flat, probably the best part of 500 metres before the last 300 metres on the hill. 100 metres of which is pretty flat before it really ramps up for the last few hundred metres. So
this will be a hard one to pick. Kirsten Casper looks really comfortable, and Summer Cook's our best runner outside of Katie. We've never been in this position where 3 with 500 metres left to run.
Exciting times for Rachel Clammer. It looks like she's dropped Yuko Takahashi and Taylor Spivey down that hill, and she did have a great run yesterday, but it's all about these 3, the green, the red and the pink, all Americans and all fighting for the win overall. If Katie Zafiris can stay in that top 3, she's going to be your championship leader and the round winner. Rachel Clammer with a gap now back to Yuko Takahashi and Taylor Spivey. But these 3 have been dominant through this equalizer.
Who's got the sprint here? That's the
question.
Uphill sprint.
I think Zafiris is going pretty much as hard as she can here. Actually, she probably doesn't want to leave it to a sprint, and I think Summer Cook has got some real running pedigree, so she knows that. I think she's probably in a bit of a nervous position as Zafiris. I think it's going to be a big punch out this first corner, and with 300 metres up the hill, it's easier to get your legs and your turnover moving a bit on the flat a bit, which is the first 100 metres out the corner. So I expect to see someone, well, probably all of them going as hard as they can. If someone gets the gap on that, they might just stay away. But
Katie's having a go now. Katie's running a long way out. She's running
as hard as she can, and she's putting Kirsten Casper under a bit of pressure there, but it's still tight. There's nothing between them here, and it's impossible to call.
I think if Rachel Clammer stays in 4th position, she's going to pick up 2nd overall. But let's pick up the last climb up the hill, 275 metres, and it's a race in 3. All Americans.
Summer Cook looks great.
Katie Zafiris is, she's seeing Summer Cook just hang off her hip, and Kirsten Casper's been dropped back about 4 metres or so.
Zafiris.
And here goes Zafiris kicking.
Yeah, she's kicking hard, and she's just got the strength. This is the steepest part of the hill here, and she's got the strength to pull away, and she doesn't look like she's moving that fast, but she just moves so efficiently, and she's so strong.
And she looks like she's going to take a perfect 50 championship points. She is sprinting her way home. Katie Zafiris has done it once again. She was pushed all the way by the Americans.
And Casper.
Katie Zafiris has given everything. Kirsten Casper comes home and does the job, and you can see the fallen soldiers. Summer Cook comes in third position. Rachel Clammer, I think, will take fourth, but again, pushed all the way. Katie Zafiris is your Equalizer champion, just as she won yesterday. Rachel Clammer comes up in fourth, and you can see that there is nothing left in the tank, and that is what Super League is all about. Congratulations to Katie Zafiris. Taylor Spivey comes in fifth. Yuko Takahashi in sixth position.
I think Takahashi's had a really good performance this weekend. I don't think many people would have called her to think she would finish, right up there in this stage today. So she's done really well. And Jo Brown, who's chasing all day, never quite made it. It's the first time she's seen these front five in the whole race, and she's made it to the finish line, but not too far back actually.
That looked hard, very, very hard.
We'll go waiting for a couple more.
If I'm correct, Katie Zafiris is your round winner. Rachel Clammer on 37 total points, I think, has come in second. And I think Kirsten Casper, courtesy of that final sprint to get Summer Cook, was on 28 points from Cook's 24 points. So we'll just wait for official confirmation as Emma Jeffcoat comes over the line. And that's the last of our non-eliminated athletes. Congratulations to her for making it through to the end, because it was brutal on the flag. No, I'm incorrect. Charlotte McShane, in fact, was there in the distance, but great racing that was. And those, the cream really rose to the top in those three Americans who are all in the top five in our championship.
That was great racing, but like we said before, it's not what we expected. And it's great to see Zafiris. She doesn't only have to win these races by going hard from the gun and being aggressive early on. She can win in a sprint. So I don't know if you're these other girls, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know. You can't really take it to her. You can't really take it to her early, and you can't take it to her at the end either.
All right, let's have a look back at our race highlights. There was some rain spitting early on in the race, but it seemed to hold off, and Taylor Spivey managed to hold off the chasing pack, but only just. So she saw her lead evaporate. Great transitions from everyone, and a group formed on the bike with Katie Zafiris doing what she does best and leading from the front during portions of that. All of our split leaders were involved. Taylor Spivey there as well. Rachel Clammer was there. Yuko Takahashi, Kirsten Casper. And our first eliminated athlete was Claudia Seebock. Plenty more would see the yellow flag before this one was out. They were out onto the first run, and the group remained, and behind them there was plenty of chasing athletes and plenty of eliminations, including all three of the other Americans. The first short shoot was Joanna Brown, and most of the back of the field took it as well, but it didn't help them. There was pain on plenty of faces, and when it came down to it, it was the pink, the green and the red. Summer Cook, Kirsten Casper and Katie Zafiris with a couple of chasing pairs and a trio at one point behind them. Plenty of fans out to watch this one, and they've seen some fantastic racing. For a second there, the chasing three got in touch, but after that transition and onto the last run, it was a race between the three Americans. Danny DiFrancesco, our last eliminated athlete. Charlotte McShane was our last to get home. But that kick from Katie Zafiris is the reason why she is absolutely the short price favourite to be our championship winner when we arrive in Singapore in February. She has dominated all the way through. And here are your results officially. Katie Zafiris the win. America 1, 2, 3. Rachel Clammer ran away into fourth position from Spivey, Takahashi, Joanna Brown, Jodie Stimson, Emma Jeffcoat and Charlotte McShane, who finished 146 back but didn't get eliminated because she managed to hang on under the 130 mark until we arrived in the run. Annie Emerson is down on the course, and I think she'll have our championship leader, our round winner, Katie Zafiris. I hope. I'm just guessing. Yes, there she is.
Well, Katie, congratulations. 100% record this weekend. How did you do that?
Yesterday, felt a lot better than today, obviously. Today was really a hard fight, having Kirsten and Summer, really pushing the pace. The way they run downhills, I was like, oh goodness, so fast. But I just tried to stay connected and really tried to push myself and know as soon as I got up the hill, I would be done. So,
what did it take? Because that must have been very tough, that last hill.
Yeah, I just kept focusing on different people coming up the hill and counting down and just really knowing my reward would be being done and hopefully winning. And so that was the strategy, and it went by terribly hard but kind of fast.
Okay, well done, Katie. Congratulations. Phenomenal weekend.
Thank you so much.
It has been a phenomenal weekend for Katie Zafiris, and every Super League weekend is a phenomenal weekend for Katie Zafiris. Who can beat her as we go on to Mallorca? Is there someone capable? And you've seen the course, Macca. We both have. On that course, can Katie Zafiris be beaten?
It's a very, very tough bike course in Mallorca, a very, very steep climb. This was a long, more gradual climb. The one in Mallorca is very, very difficult. She, I think some of the smaller girls may get up and bounce over it, but to be quite honest, she is so powerful, so strong across the 3 disciplines. You need to unsettle her early, and I don't know if anyone has the courage to do that.
We were willing Summer Cook to have that run, but that extra kick, as soon as you saw it start, that was the end of the race, wasn't it?
Yeah, Summer Cook looked so good on her shoulder coming out of that bottom corner, but Katie Zafiris, like we said at the time, just seems to have that extra strength, that extra couple of percent when she needs it.
All right, we'll throw back down to Annie right now, and in second place, she got over the top of Summer Cook. Annie is with Kirsten Kasper.
Kirsten, that was a great race and a better race for you than yesterday. So what happened?
Yeah, yesterday I woke up and I just wasn't feeling myself. My stomach was a little off. So I just went out there and gave it my all yesterday. And I woke up this morning feeling a lot better. So I knew I could run for the podium today. And so I just went out there and did my thing.
How does it feel to have 3 Americans on the podium today? That's an amazing result.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to line up next to these women. So when we were out there running together, I was very happy just to be next to them and showing the USA strength.
What does it take to double up after yesterday? The legs must have been pretty shot.
Yeah, Super League racing is pretty unique, and it's a nice test of our strength and ability. So to line up again, it's always challenging, but we're all up for it.
Congratulations, Kirsten.
Thank you very much.
A huge race from the Americans, and they will extend their dominance at the top of our championship standings, the 3 of them, as I said already, all 3 in the top 5, and just suited in terms of their frames, their engines, and their strength over multiple day racing to be able to stand up to the test that you seem to keep throwing at them, Macca.
Yeah, I was very impressed with today's racing. I know we talked about it before the start. We were wondering how it was going to go down, but today just seemed like a lot tighter event, and the Americans definitely dominated.
All right, it's time for our podium ceremony. We'll go with the race winner first, and of course we'll crown our round leaders as well. And it's very similar names because consistency is key. And right now, let's head down to our podium presentation. All right, we'll just wait a little longer as they get themselves ready to go. But how good are those shots of Malta? It's been a fantastic week. And what a race location, I think. Well, Macca's, when you got here, you must have thought, and you saw that hill, this is the spot to be.
Oh, I was blown away by it. It was my first time ever to Malta, and we came over and spoke to the government here. And it's an absolutely remarkable place. I've been learning a lot from Ali, who did his Wikipedia search before he came here. And,
he really did. He really did.
He filled us in on the history of the place. It's absolutely stunning. And this was the best venue there in the marina. It seems to be a common theme of Super League racing in marinas around the world. And
that's because of your super yacht.
I need to park it somewhere.
That's how you get here. But yeah, smallest. Give us some facts. Give us some facts on Malta.
I think I just feel picked on because I'm the cultured Englishman here.
You feel
sat among
picked on.
2 uncultured Aussies between me, and just because I have the respect for the culture that I'm visiting to actually do some research, I think I'm being unfairly picked on here.
A couple of gold medals, and here we go. You feel unfairly picked on. You've been sitting here passing judgment on every single athlete for the last 2 days, but here is the replay of the finish. And Katie Zafiris, she just gets that look in her eyes, and I've seen that in the eyes of Richard Murray as well, when you know when they're in the zone. And it was interesting how she mentioned that she picked out certain people in the crowd to know how far away she was from the end, and everybody has those mental crutches that they use to help get them through tough times. But that was an interesting, I guess, insight.
I would always know, even if it's even when I've been doing the really long distance stuff, you just want to know 100 metres from the end, 200 metres, 600 metres, because you can judge your effort, otherwise you don't really have any clue.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, they are ready now for the podium presentation as the wind picks up. It's going to be a fantastic men's race. Let's head down now to crown our race winners and our round winners.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official medal ceremony for Day 2, Equalizer, Malta 2018 Super League, and we'd like to welcome Alison Zafera, Mayor of Woomera, as our official presenter for the medals. In the bronze medal position, from the United States of America, Summer Cook. our silver medalist, USA, Christian Kasper. Gold medalist and race winner for Super League Malta Day 2 Equalizer from the United States of America, Katie Zaferas! Malta, put your hands together for your Super League Day 2 champions! Thank you, girls.
What a fantastic race that was, those three Americans, and there they are. Big smiles from Katie Zaferas in the middle, extends her championship lead. Kirsten Kasper and Summer Cook. We're going to get our championship overall, or our round overall results as well, and Katie Zaferas will stand on the top step again, but a big smile from her. She's been so focused, but she has also taken the time to go on day trips and take in a bit of the island, because this is the kind of place that, you know, not a lot of people in the triathlon world get to come to, because we're breaking new ground. So I guess it's a balancing act between making sure you're prepared for a race and being able to take in some of this amazing culture.
She's a very relaxed athlete. She travelled over here with her husband Tommy, and they've been all over the island. They were in Valletta yesterday, they're in Gozo, and they sort of treated it like a little bit of an escape. So to see her perform so well when a lot of the other women were quite anxious over at the hotel, we see them at breakfast in the morning, and she's a first-class athlete, that's for sure.
It's been good to see Malta turn out as well to have a look at this, because triathlon is still a burgeoning sport, I suppose, here in Malta, and all sports are. And the Maltese government and our partners have got right behind this event, because sport is really starting to become a big deal here, and this is just making it even bigger, as we see Ollie Turner, our athlete from Jersey, just getting warmed up. Not too long now until the men's race. It starts at 10 to 2 GMT. Can't wait for that one, and it looks like the rain's held off as well, but it's nice to see Malta really getting behind this one.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. Wherever you go with a sport like this, you really want it to be a big event in the context that it's in. There's nothing worse than going to a city and it being just a sideshow somewhere. So that's why these places, Jersey, Malta, Mallorca, are such great places to hold this kind of event, because it's the biggest thing that happens, that weekend, the week, the month even. And sport has such an important message to carry to so many places, and I think triathlon is a really good vessel for that, because it is all about living the right lifestyle, swim, cycling, running, being consistent across the weeks, and it's great to see local supporters and government getting behind it, because it has got a really important message to deliver.
All right, not long now until we crown our top three round winners, and you can see right there who they are on your screen. I think my maths was correct, if you can believe that. Katie Zaferas took the 50 from 50, so that was locked in. Rachel Klammer and Kirsten Kasper, and they'll be picking up $20,000 US, $15,000 and $10,000 for their troubles, and fantastic efforts from all of them. They've certainly, without a doubt, have earned every single moment of it and every single dollar, and I hope they all put it on the bar at the after party tonight. We'll see if that happens.
I think that's in the contract. I'm not sure.
Is it not? But while we're just waiting for this to get ready, very much looking forward to the men's race, and we can see them warming up. There's Ollie Turner again, and just taking the opportunity to have a bit of a warm up, and it's going to be a great race.
The men's race is going to be magnificent. We've seen, Okay,
let's have a look at the championship points for the women, and we go down to sixth. Overall, here we are with 50 for Katie Zaferas, Kirsten Kasper, Summer Cook, Rachel Klammer, Jodie Stimson on 18, Cassandra Bogran, who's not here, 16 points overall. She took 16 from Jersey, and wow, Katie Zaferas already with a 14-point gap, and we're halfway through the season.
It's going to be difficult to see her to not win this now, especially with that amount of points and the form she's got as well.
All right, time now for the overall round presentation. It's going to be Katie Zaferas on the top step, Kirsten Kasper and Rachel Klammer will hand over to our MC.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we present the overall winner, the medal ceremony for the Super League Malta Round 2. We would like to welcome again Alison Zaferas, Mayor of Bournemouth, Mr. John Boxall, Mayor of Burgu, And of course, Lionel Gradella, head of events, MTA, and our man himself, Zandru Adabegbai, is with us. In third place, from the United States of America, Christian Casper. In second place, from the Netherlands, Rachel Klemmer. Gold medalist and round 2 overall winner from the United States of America, Katie Zaferis. Also, please put your hands together for your champions of round 2, Super League Malta. Now to present the winners' checks and the champagne, Mr. Lionel Gerada from Events MTA Malta. In third place with $10,000, Christian Casper. In second place with $15,000, Rachel Klemmer.
Well, there you have it, $20,000 for Katie Zaferis, $15,000 for Rachel Klemmer, and $10,000 for Kirsten Casper. But more importantly than that, championship points, and that's why our champ is so happy. Katie Zaferis, what a women's round it was. Fantastic racing here in Malta, and a fantastic place to do it as well. Not too long now until the men's equaliser, so go get a cup of coffee and come back and join us a little bit later on for the men's equaliser. Starts at 10 to 2 GMT. Up until then, we hope you've enjoyed Super League Malta. On behalf of Chris McCormack and Alistair Brownlee, it's bye for now. Super League Triathlon is back. Round 2 here in Malta, the second of 2 days racing, and we're doing it in Birgu Harbour, quite close to the capital of Valletta. Perfect conditions here. It's cooler than yesterday, a little bit blustery too, and the men's Equalizer is coming up. The Eliminator was yesterday and won in a dominant fashion by Richard Murray, and here is how it all played out. It's all about the men's Eliminator.
That's Polyansky there, who's taking it out fast. This is going to be close racing.
There's plenty going on here. There's 13 sharp to 13th, so one of them is going to drop out. All right, he has another look behind him, Johnny Brownlee, and he sees a bit of cat and mouse being played.
Schumann's on Johnny, and it's making for really exciting racing. Yeah, there we go, Murray away fast.
Richard Murray, what a run by the South African. He did it in Hamilton Island. He does it again here. He played a tactical race, and he runs to the finishing line knowing that he did it to perfection. Richard Murray wins the men's Eliminator. Richard Murray winning the Eliminator just like he did in Hamilton Island 18 months ago. His compatriot Henry Schoeman 11 seconds back. The two South Africans in between. Vincent Louis, our championship leader, 7 seconds back. Jonathan Brownlee in fourth. Tyler Mislichuk, great racing from him, 25 seconds back. Leo Bergeret, the Frenchman, and Ben Canute were all of the men that made it through to stage 3. My name is Will McCloy. Alongside me, reigning Olympic gold medalist Alistair Brownlee and two-time Ironman world champ and co-founder. Let's go with co-founder of Super League Triathlon as well. Chris McCormack is here. Ali, I'll start with you. Yesterday, Richard Murray really showed us that he still has it. We've been focusing a bit more on Schoeman and Louis, but he responded in a big way.
Yeah, he had a great performance yesterday. We hardly saw him until that last race, and he did the absolute right thing. He was there when it mattered. He had that killer run on the last leg, clinical in his transitions, and put together a great performance.
He's got a real job ahead of him, and he's warming up down there in transition as we speak. A real job ahead of him today, because in the pursuit style format, he's going to start 50 seconds back, and that's going to be tough.
Yeah, one of the brilliant things about Super League is it really exposes people weakness, and that swim time trial has absolutely exposed Richard Murray's weakness, which is 50 seconds back on Schumann. He's going to start today, 30 seconds back on probably the bulk of the other main guys in the field, so he's got a big job ahead of him. He's going to have to produce a big first 10 minutes of racing if he's going to get anywhere close today.
The Equalizer is what we're doing today, and it came off a swim time trial. It's one of the 5 formats that we have here in Super League. Super League Triathlon Racing, if you're just tuning in, it's like something you have never ever seen before, and Macca, it's like something, it's another step above, if you like.
Yeah, and you say the word you use a lot is formats, and the one we've seen today is the Equalizer. Probably my favourite of the formats, because as Ali said, it exposes weaknesses in Hamilton Island. We had a bike time trial yesterday we had a swim TT, and to see Richard Murray winning yesterday's race but now 50 seconds back is exactly what the Equalizer is all about.
Yeah, it throws the whole thing into a complete chaos. If you want a bit more of a brief on what the Equalizer is to follow along with the action, it's incredibly tough. This is what it's all about.
The Equalizer. Exactly what it sounds like. Levelling the playing field through 2 distinct stages. Firstly, testing an athlete's pure single discipline speed, and then their willingness to suffer. Stage number 1, a time trial, racing in its purest form, no one else around and nowhere to hide. The only triathlon format which highlights an athlete's single discipline strength or weakness. Perform poorly and you'll pay for it in stage 2, a 6-leg enduro. Swim, bike, run. Swim, bike, run. This one is a pursuit start, where every second lost in the time trial means another second standing on the start line, watching your rivals disappear. First across the line wins. Everyone else works out where it all went wrong.
In 2017, it was a bike time trial. That one was tough, and Ali Brownlee was one of the ones that found it tough. And this year, it is a swim time trial. We did it on Friday afternoon right here in Birgu Harbour. It was about a 600-metre swim, and it was tough. This is how it all played out. The men's individual time trial is underway. This will determine the spots on the pontoon for the pursuit start for the Equalizer on Sunday. And it looks like Jonas Schomburg, the German, by virtue of an excellent swim, has overtaken João Pereira. That means he's at least 30 seconds ahead. What an effort from him. Pereira across the line. That means Schomburg will lead. He'll sit in the hot seat as it stands. He's our new leader. 6 minutes and 46 seconds. That is quick from the German. There is Vincent Louis, though, the man they are all trying to catch. He's wearing the pink because he is the leader after Jersey. He was just about unbeatable, the Frenchman. So good. And that is Henry Schoeman in the water, who's nearly caught up Richard Murray, his South African compatriot. Schoeman wearing the blue swim jersey because he is the quickest swimmer. He started 30 seconds behind Murray, and there he is in the blue, about to overtake Richard Murray. So that is a huge swim from Henry Schoeman. Murray losing time, that hurts him. Louis, though, needs to put in a good time of his own if he's going to hold off Henry Schoeman's charge. He is an excellent swimmer as well, but here comes Henry Schoeman. 6:46 was Jonas Schomburg's time. Will he beat that? It looks like he will. Let's see what the clock says. 6:31, 15 seconds quicker, and Henry Schoeman is the new leader. He knows he's got a good time there. He knows it. Well done to Henry Schoeman. Let's see if anyone can finish stronger than he can. Richard Murray, let's see how far back down the times he is. That wasn't a good swim from him, 7:21, and that's going to put him in the bottom 6 or 7 at this stage. You can see there's a little bit of disappointment on his face. And behind him, here comes Vincent Louis, 6:31 the mark. Henry Schoeman with a fantastic swim, as we knew he'd produce. What can Vincent Louis do? 6:42, so 11 seconds back. And it looks like that is your 1 and 2. So Henry Schoeman will lead out the Equalizer on Sunday, 11 seconds ahead of Vincent Louis, and look how happy he is. A big, big effort from Henry Schoeman. He's second in the championship points, but he's first on the day in the ITT, so well done to him. And here are the results. Schoeman finishes 11 seconds ahead of Vince Louis. Schomburg will come off third in the Equalizer. Polyansky with a good swim. Jonathan Brownlee in fifth. Knut Sharp, Leo Bergeret, Tyler Mislachuk, and Hayden Wild are your top 10.
Well, I'm alongside Richard Murray, the guy that won so convincingly yesterday. But Richard, I have to say, you have your work cut out today. What are your plans?
Just must try not to suck. That's the first goal. And second goal, trying to not get eliminated. So, yeah, I'm 50 seconds behind Henry at the start. And, he's going to put some time into me on both of the swims. So, hope to, put it all out there on the bike and the run and try and rein some time back.
After that huge effort yesterday, how are your legs feeling today?
Oh, yeah, the legs are feeling fruity fresh this afternoon. So, it feels good to go and ready for more action today.
18 times up that hill yesterday, another 12 today. That's going to take it out of everyone. So perhaps that gives you a bit of a chance if your legs are fresh. Yeah, if we had another 18, I might even be even closer. So, looking forward to today and 8 more times up today and then we head to Mallorca. So, hoping for a good one. Great stuff. Thanks very much, Richard. Thanks, guys.
Here we go. We are excited for this one, the men's Equalizer, and Richard Murray, he certainly does have his work cut out for him. Trying not to suck is his plan, and try not to get eliminated. There are a few guys there in Ollie Turner, Jack Felix, Jayden Schofield are nearly a minute back, and these are the splits for the men's Equalizer. Henry Schoeman will lead us off. 11 seconds later, the championship leader, Vincent Louis, will take off. Jonas Schomburg and Igor Polyansky, the Russian, both a further 4 seconds back. As we head down the field, though, these guys will be worried about elimination. Luke Schofield, 49 seconds. Murray, 50 seconds. Ollie Turner, 53 seconds. And then Jack Felix and Jayden Schofield will be needing to work together to bridge that 10-second gap. Anytime through transition when we're changing legs, if they are more than 90 seconds back, they are eliminated. This is your Equalizer. Swim, bike, run. Swim, bike, run, winner takes all. Katie Zafiris did it in the women's, and Henry Schoeman, the superfish, he comes from a pedigree of swimming. His brother swam in the pool at the 2008 Beijing Games, and he is a superb swimmer, the best in triathlon as it stands, and next to him is probably the second best, and Vincent Louis, who has just proven the complete athlete. He was a bit off by his own admission yesterday. Let's see if he improves today. Here we go. The men's Equalizer is underway and Henry Schoeman is into the water. It'll be a long 11-second wait for Vincent Louis as Schoeman just disappears by himself into the distance. Louis, the Frenchman, on 11 seconds and he's into the water. Next up, Jonas Schomburg and Igor Polyansky together, 4 seconds back.
These two are going to slow each other down there. So they're going to go hard to get on Vincent's feet, but they're swimming next to each other. You want, out of anything here, you really want clean water. There's Johnny and Ben Canute. I'd expect Ben Canute to go straight on Johnny's feet here. I imagine they'd have had chat and how can we work best together. The two behind them, Berger and Sharp, they're going to be just doing everything they can to stay in touch with those guys in front of them. But that 11 seconds Schumann back to Vincent Louis, that's quite a long way, you know. I mean, we can see there's very, very clear water behind them. We saw in the women's before this, we saw gaps of 4, 5, 6 seconds being made up relatively easily, but 11 seconds is a completely different picture, to be honest, and it's going to be fascinating to see how hard they go in this first bit and how much can happen in the... But those three there in Louis, Schomburg and Polianski, they're together already, and you can see the gap back there to Johnny's on the front. I can see him stroke a mile off with 2 different arms, and Ben Canute behind him doing everything he can to get in touch with the three guys in front of him. That wasn't an offence. I was just saying.
You didn't even get to the first point yet, and already you're criticising your brother.
It wasn't. I won't be critical. I was just saying I can spot him.
He's got funny right arms.
Yeah,
He's got
two
funny arms
different
when he
arms,
swims.
okay.
But if anything, he's got great company for this bike ride. That's a big powerhouse.
He's a faster swimmer than me as well, so I'll have my hands up.
This is great.
Yeah. See, Vincent is making inroads here.
Yeah,
that gap isn't 11 seconds anymore, and let's see if we can get a timing split around that first buoy.
We'll see what the gap is.
Up.
We're going to do the old iPhone timing split right now as he turns the buoy, Henry Schumann, and Vincent Louis leads Igor Polianski and Jonas Schomburg in a little train behind as they try and negate the advantage of Schumann, but he is such a strong swimmer. If you're just tuning in to triathlon for the first time, Schumann routinely leads World Series races out sometimes by so far he has to turn and look to see if he's turned the right way because he's so far ahead. He's a fantastic swimmer, and what an advantage that is when the traditional swim, bike, run format is implemented as it is today in the Equalizer.
So behind them in that big group that we're seeing passing around the buoy now, Ben Canute was leading, so I imagine Johnny's pulled off at some point. He must have had a chat to him before and said, if I take half and you take half, that's the most efficient way for us to go as fast as possible.
Yeah, that does happen a lot. There's discussions to be had in the locker rooms, if you like, beforehand.
Especially in this format, we saw it in the locker rooms, and the group that Johnny's in is a powerhouse bike group. They need to minimise or limit their losses, if any, to the guys in front. Work very hard in this first lap and close the gaps.
We just saw Richard Murray going around that final buoy there. That just demonstrates he's right in the middle of this group. He not only is a long way behind, he's having to scrap with some of these other guys. That it's only going to slow him down on the course. He has got a lot to do. That is either Ollie Turner or
the two twins,
or one of the twins there who he's swimming with, and he is a big ask here as we see Ben Canute go out transition, Johnny with him. These guys are going to work as hard as they can now to try and get themselves back up to the front of this race to keep themselves in it.
All right, we'll see the split times as they cross, but at the moment Schumann has retained a 10-second lead over Vincent Louis as they head out of transition and onto the bike for the first time. 1 second further back Polianski, and then 3 seconds to Schomburg, and those four have got quite the advantage over the rest of the pack as it stands. It's a further 10 seconds back to Canute, Brownlee, Mislachuk, Matt Sharp, the two Canadians together there at 30 seconds. Leo Bergeret, always a dark horse, and Hayden Wild.
That big group lost time to Schumann on the swim, whether that
3
was...
seconds.
I don't know why that was. Yeah, that's Schilling down.
Schilling has gone down.
It's not
normally we see that on the bike, but it's slippery there on the black carpet. We saw Johnny have a couple of slips there on the bike as he came in on a tighter line to everybody else, so maybe that just claimed Schilling there as well.
Be good to see what's happening at the front of the race now, and see. We just saw Murray there leaving transition on his own and isolated. I don't know if that's because he's dropped Schumann just at coming into the front of the end of the first lap there, going around that bottom corner. And that group, there was 3 there in that group behind him, and now there's only 2. I'd be surprised if one of those wasn't Vincent Louis, and probably Schomburg with Polianski gone missing somewhere, but we'll see. That just shows that the pace is really on here. This field is separating out and spreading as we go along.
All right, Richard Murray, just an update on him. Of course, he won the Eliminator. That's why we're focusing on him. He's taken the 25 points, and it's all about the best out of the 50 points on offer for the weekend. It's Polianski behind Louis.
I was wrong.
Dear life.
Yeah, I think Louis is obviously riding as hard as he can here, and that is a hard ask to follow for anyone to follow Vincent Louis' wheel on this kind of course. And maybe he has better legs today. He didn't look great yesterday, and he said that himself. We called it a few times here in the commentary, but Schumann will be controlled. He's on a time trial here. You know, he doesn't have to make any spikes in effort. He can ride a good, consistent race. And you know, that might mean nothing. It might mean Louis gets back in the race, but he just conserves energy for the back end of the race when the run's on.
Yeah, and Igor Polyansky's sticking to Vincent Louis' well. He knows that's the train to the front if it's going anywhere. He saw him go through transition with the big grimace.
There is the short shoot at the top of your screen, the first black turnaround there, and our athletes have a chance to use it on the bike or the run at any time during this race. So they'll have 2 bike legs, 2 run legs. They have to use it once. Well, they don't have to use it at all, but they get to use it once, and there are the 2 turnarounds. So it gives you about a 5 to 6 second advantage.
Murray's completely isolated here, 59 seconds down on his own, with people 5 seconds behind and in front of him. So he's really not in a great position. It's going to be a big ask for him to get himself back in contact now. Schumann at the end of the second lap, and we see Vincent Louis is getting a bit of daylight between him and Polyansky maybe. He's just going to be riding hard, focused. I don't think he's going to look behind him for anything from Polyansky here. He just knows he has to focus on doing what he needs to do, and that is catching Henry Schumann right now.
All right, an update on the points. If there's 25 as maximum points on offer for day 1, 25 at day 2, we add them together for a score out of 50, and that is your round winner, and $20,000 goes to the winner, 15,000 to second place, and 10,000 to third. Henry Schumann currently is on 18. He finished third yesterday. Vincent Louis on 21 by courtesy of finishing second yesterday, and Richard Murray, who's a minute down, took the 25 points. So it's really a race at this point between Vincent Louis and Henry Schumann, although there's a long way to go in terms of our overall round winner. And
These
there
guys,
is our championship leader at the moment, or a round leader.
These guys behind, in terms of Canute, Brownlee, Johnny and Matthew Chad, they're not working together at all. Canute has come through every time 3 or 4 seconds in front of Johnny, so that shows that group isn't working that well. Ben Canute is just riding as hard as he can with his head down, and they're not working particularly well together, which is maybe what they need to get themselves back up to the front. That said, they're not losing any time on Henry. This race is just an every man for himself time trial now, really, and that is basically what it is. Everyone's riding as hard as they can to try and get themselves back in contact, and there's not really any tactics coming into play here, apart from the potential to run the short shoot when you need it. Any of these guys on the course, you'd be tempted to potentially use it if it meant that it got you back to the front of the race again.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Vincent Louis have a look across at Henry Schumann there. He would have bridged that gap had he had taken the super shoot. We will keep you updated on who has taken it and who hasn't taken it, because it will play in. And at the moment, the back of the field, as we saw in the women's race, has started taking it. Oliver Turner has taken it, João Pereira, Jack Felix and Jaden Schofield, but they're all over a minute back and in danger of being eliminated, and they know that. That's why they've taken it now, to try and negate the advantage of Schumann and Vincent Louis, who have been powering away at the front.
I'm actually impressed with Schumann here. He's holding his own with the fast chasing Murray behind him. So he's doing with Louis behind him. He's doing a really good job there, holding Louis off. Still at that 9 seconds. I think it's since 11 seconds going into the swim. It's been 9-10 seconds since then. So it's really going nowhere, and he's doing a good job where Louis, you can kind of get the feeling he's powering hard out the corners, like we can see there. We just see the differences in the style. Schumann more controlled, winds it up gently, more of a time trial kind of format, and it's working for him. He's going round these laps as fast, but probably using a little less energy, I feel.
And Louis has to be very careful to control his effort, because that climb yesterday we saw with Ben Canute attacking a lot, he paid for that late in the race, and I think Louis had the mindset of getting across to Henry as quickly as he possibly could, but it looks like it's actually extending.
Murray's still at that 58 seconds down, so he is making no inroads at all. That Schilling has been 5 or 6 seconds in front of Murray in 11th place in all the laps, and he will be doing all he can to catch him, and he hasn't managed to. So I think he's probably had to swim hard on his own that he doesn't do normally, and he's riding as hard as he can, and it's going to be really, really hard for him to get back in this race.
Schumann still hasn't taken the time to do the straps up on his shoes. Obviously doesn't need to worry about that as he has undone the straps, is what I meant to say, and we're into transition once again. Here we go. We'll see the split times again. He is, by virtue of being at the front, has picked the...
Decided to change his mind. He's changed his position, so his bike's on the other backwards so he can grab it quicker the next time. And apart from that, a pretty decent. Louis has decided not to bother with that. He's French. He's decided it's not worth the hassle, and he's going to do it the proper way. Yeah, you said it yesterday.
I know. I'm getting my own back this time because you called me out on it.
And yeah, I mean, otherwise a very clean transition, and we can just see Polyansky and Schomburg have gone back through the groups and are now in this main group of guys behind them. So they've lost. They're the big losers in the bike leg of this race.
All right, let's see out of this group who has a good transition. Polyansky's been caught up by a group. Mislachuk's had a good transition, and so has Johnny Brownlee. Leo Bergeret's trying to chase them down, and Hayden Wild still coming into transition as well. So Tyler Mislachuk's having a good end to his season, and he leads that group of chasing athletes right now, and there is some quality amongst them.
These guys have got to run as hard as they can now. They don't really have a choice. I mean, absolutely not max, because then you're going to dive in the water and not have a lot left. But they've got to run hard to get themselves back in the race. So I'd expect that group, I think of about 6 of them, to split up as you see the guys who are slightly better runners get a bit more of an advantage on the guys who aren't behind them.
Here is the pack turning at the bottom of the hill while our 2 leaders disappear in the distance. And we saw that great running style of Henry Schoeman. He's worked so hard at that. He's managed to lead wire to wire in WTS Series racing now, and that's a rare feat. His run is excellent, and you can see lurking in the background our championship leader in the pink, Vincent Louis, and just how far back the rest of the chasing pack are. You can't see them at the bottom of the hill.
They're still about 30 seconds back still, or spread out over that. And who's going to use the super shoot now to get themselves back in the race? Because
it's one of those things. Do you take the super shoot and isolate yourself from the group?
Or do they talk to each other and go,
we all take
do we
it
want
together?
to take it?
Because you need to eat into this lead now. You know you've only got the opportunity on the bike coming up in the second portion of this event, because on the last run where the women took it, it sort of nullified it.
I think Vincent Louis will launch himself down this hill if he possibly can now and get a few more seconds on Henry Schoeman. These guys behind them aren't making any inroads on the run. Otherwise, see, he's leaning back. He's not really flowing. He's not sprinting down that hill. So whereas Vincent completely different. The speed is completely different.
They're going to take it. They're all going to take it together. So there's Johnny Brownlee in red at the front, Ben Canute behind him, Tyler Mislachuk's there, Igor Polyansky's there, Jonas Schomburg's there, and they've all made the decision to take it and try and get a little bit back on these 2. This is 1 and 2 in the championship, and 1 and 2 in this race as well. Neither of them had a win yesterday. Richard Murray stealing it.
I think Vincent will have caught Henry, or very close to caught by the end of this run, and he'll be able to get himself back in contact on the swim, which is crucial. Yeah, these guys, and we see Richard Murray moving himself through the field.
The super shoot as well.
He's keeping himself in contact at all he can. So, yeah, as we thought, this group of 6 or 7 guys is splitting, but not as splitting as much as you thought. Ben Canute's still there, Leo Berger, not renowned super for their run. So they are there, and that means that I think it's on basically. Johnny can't really use his really quick running because he's already on the red line.
Jonas Schomburg there trying to catch up to that group, but Johnny Brownlee, in that classic style of his that he's got, is trying to push as hard as he can. 3 seconds through transition between Schoeman and Vincent.
We'll see. He's on.
Yeah, he really is, and we'll see how far back the group are after having taken the super shoot, the whole group of them, having had the discussion that we predicted that they might do. But it looks like by this turnaround, Vincent Louis will be your race leader, or perhaps not then, by the top of the hill. We'll see how much he's got. So 23 seconds, the gap back to Jonathan Brownlee. So they took 6 or 7 seconds out of them.
Yeah.
But don't forget that these 2 are now the sole 2 of the leaders.
And the best swimmers.
Taken, and they're the best swimmers.
So they're going to dive in, and even if this goes down to 20 seconds, that gap is too big for these guys. There's no draft advantage there anymore. It's going to be a big ask for anyone to swim any closer to them, because they're going to be swimming fast. And Vincent is there in the perfect place. He's made it onto his shoulder. He's where he needs to be, and he doesn't need to do any more now for this. He just needs to sit there until they dive back in for the swim, sit on Henry's feet, and be ready to do what he needs to do in the back half of the racing.
Pereira out. He's been eliminated with the 90-second rule.
To be eliminated. One of the Schofields there, Luke, he'll be eliminated. Jack Felix, the other Schofield. Jaden, just making it good for me to make sure they're both eliminated at the same time, so I know that exactly who they both are.
It's very considerate of them.
And Oliver Turner as well. So in our championship standings, as it stands right now, Vincent Louis has 25 championship points. Henry Schoeman has 21 championship points. These two are fighting it out now for the full 25 as we head to Mallorca. So this is key, this battle. And Vincent Louis has put the hammer down again.
Yes. Just gives himself a few seconds advantage, and he's doing it running easier than Henry is as well, because he's just allowing his legs to go into kind of free fall, and it could prove absolutely crucial this to the whole race.
The longer stride on Vincent Louis, and that's the difference between them. But don't forget, after this triathlon is done, swim, bike, run, we have swim, bike, run again. These two will plunge into the water, and you can see the goggles around Schoeman's neck as tactics come into this one. And there's Richard Murray, who is still 52 seconds behind. He's alongside Andreas Schilling.
Yeah, this is this group behind that actually hasn't split as much as I thought. Yeah, these guys have managed to keep themselves in contact, and Hayden Wild's there as well.
All the way on,
yeah, he's run himself on. He's done a really good job there. He came from behind them, I think, going out onto that run.
Yeah,
so
he was 10 seconds behind Brownlee going through last time, so he's made 10 seconds up.
I think he must have taken the super shoot, I think. Is that
Will they all
has
be
now
there?
taken the super shoot.
He was behind them, though, so he's made it to catch onto that group.
All right, here we go, back into the water, past the cafe, and past Michael Brown, one of our race directors, and into the water.
So Vincent's dived in first there. Is Henry going to swim round him and push this on, or is he going to energy conserve a bit and just tuck in there on the feet? And at the moment, he's in there on the feet, and maybe he might decide, actually, I'm only racing Vincent now.
Yes.
The other guys are out it. This is all about me and Vincent. So I'm just going to concentrate on energy conservation and doing what I can to beat him in the back half of this race.
And Vincent's made up 11 seconds over a swim, bike, run, so that you have to pay for that at some point. So if Henry can be a little bit more conservative, tell that to himself in his head. So, okay, let's relax. He's got to back himself on this run, and in the running race, he's lost, 2 from 2 against Vincent Louis.
Yes, Polyansky and Schomburg have just started at the front of the field and gone backwards there.
Well, they haven't managed to separate themselves from each other. They're just as close as they were at the beginning. After one of our sprint triathlons, Andreas Schilling, and behind him, somewhere I know in front of him, there is Richard Murray.
So I think he's actually made a bit of time up there at the back end of it. So he's done okay, but yeah, he's back on the swim again. He's back on his weakness, and so he's probably only going to lose more time on this swim again. And his chance, I would have thought, of the top 3, definitely the top 2, is completely gone now. So this big group behind them, actually, which again probably just relatively slowing each other down. That's Michelchuk on the front, with Johnny behind him. See Ben Canute's stripes and stars there on his right arm, or his left arm, right as we see it.
And Hayden Wild on the back.
Left. Yeah. So
and Leo Bergier. That's a big group. That's a strong group. But the two up in front are definitely going to move quicker in the water. They're our best swimmers. And I think they seem to move quicker on the bike. These guys were getting congested a little bit, and they've both got the super chute to use in front. So
they are the only two men out there that still have the super chute up their sleeves, Henry Schoeman and Vincent Louis. So you can write them off at the front, but Johnny's there's a lot of talent behind.
He's trying to make a move here on the outside. He's realised the pace isn't quick enough. And he's going, if we've got any chance of getting up to those guys in front of us, I need to move this pace on now. And he's decided to swim round Michelchuk to try and get up there. Michelchuk is going to swim straight on his hips and slow him down, which is completely the wrong thing to do, because you're just slowing. He needs to speed this up. He should be thinking, how can the 5 of us now move as fast as possible, not how can I make it as easy for me, to stay in this group. If he wants to have a shot at doing well in the race rather than just sailing around to come 4th or 5th.
We know that perhaps Schoeman has 5 seconds on Vincent Louis in the water. Do you agree with the idea of staying on his feet the whole way?
Yeah, I think he's made the calculated decision there to go. Like Macca said, Vince has had to go hard in this first leg to catch that 11 seconds up on me. If he wants to take it on and keep it fast, let him do it, and I'll conserve a bit of energy.
Oh, trouble!
And that might just give me a bit of a chance in the final run. Yeah,
ironically, it was Vincent that put his bike in the opposite way. If you remember, it was quicker out of transition.
There was a bit of trouble there with the chin strap for Henry Schoeman. Took a little bit longer.
Yeah, so
Johnny on the front.
Johnny, and that's Ben Canute behind him, and Michelchuk's gone back through the pack again. So These guys, I think, they're definitely not losing much time at all. So they're still moving on the course pretty quickly, and but I think it's going to be tough for them to catch up. We saw Johnny really struggle with in Malta getting his feet on his shoes.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah, Vince is taking it on. He's taking it on here.
You can see it in his face too, going up a 275-metre climb at about 6%. Vincent Louis is doing it up out of the saddle as Henry Schumann has been attacking it by staying in the saddle each time. We've seen that. Now he's up as well as he looks to respond and get back onto the wheel. He knows how strong Vincent Louis is, and we saw it in Jersey that if it comes down to a situation where there's 300 or 400 metres to run, Vincent Louis has one of the most famous kicks, and it'll be another Cody Zafiris situation.
You could do an interesting dummy here. You know, if you were in Schumann's position, taking the shoot actually on the last lap of the bike, you know, a quick little dummy, get a gap and clear run through transition, and you're out. I mean, I know you've got the shoot to take on not got it on the run to take there, but it might just give you that little bit of an advantage.
It just unnerved Vincent, because if it comes to the run, he's lost both running races against Vincent, and I think you've got to start thinking.
He needs to be able to take this on. We saw him just ride by his brand new fiancée, Franzel, who was proposed to by Henry on Tuesday here in Malta.
So the second group have actually lost time. You know, they dived in the water about 30 seconds. They're now split over 36 to 39 seconds. So they have lost time on those leading few. The two of them, although they're still together, but I think they've lost even more time on that first hill. You know, just kind of anecdotally looking, and you saw Johnny take a drink there on the downhill and sit up. So
they're looking at each other.
They're looking at each other. That showed me he's probably not. And actually, Murray's actually close to coming back into it. So if those guys there sit up too much, Murray's going to come back through.
Yeah, and that's a real question when it comes to the minor placing, the third position overall and the $10,000. Johnny is currently on 16 points from yesterday. Tyler Mislachuk on 14, Leo Bergeret on 12, Ben Canute on 10, and Hayden Wild on 8. So they'll have this battle amongst themselves, and each of them will know exactly what they need to do in order to take third spot, if indeed they agree. And I think that we can all agree that at the moment it's a race in two at the front for the top two placings. And then Richard Murray's the wild card, because he took the top 25 points from yesterday. So where he can end up, if he can cross that gap as well, might see him end up with $10,000 for third spot. So there's plenty of tactics and plenty of thought to go into this, as those guys, especially that group 30 or 40 seconds back now, need to jostle for position when it comes down to that last run.
Well, Murray's only 18 seconds back on that group, and he's going to probably, if he really goes for on the last run, he can catch a few of those, and he's got full points from yesterday. So I think if we look at the overall space, it's going to be hard to see him not manage to get into third place in the overall standings.
He just needs to bridge that gap. You think he can do that?
He doesn't need to do it on the bike. He just needs to pick a few of them off, whether he does that on the bike or the run. Because you got the points go right down as you go back kind of through the field, so the gaps aren't as big. So the difference between fourth and sixth actually isn't necessarily that significant. And there he is. He's doing everything he can to get.
He really is.
These guys in that pack are looking at each other, and Murray is using that to advantage and coming across the gap.
His transitions are magnificent. He could close that gap really quickly. He has to be quickest on course outside the two in front. He's made up 50 seconds. These guys were 40 seconds in front.
He'd be still about 50 seconds behind at this point.
Take these two out of the equation, and you're looking at Johnny and the boys.
For sure.
Take these two out of the equation. He's been the quickest.
Yeah. And here they are, though. What a race we have at the front. Vincent Louis and Henry Schumann, 3 laps through of the bike, and Louis is a renowned bike handler on this course, probably not as technical as the one we had in Jersey, but still he's very strong on the bike, and Henry Schumann staying with him, and here's our group of 5 behind. Hayden Wild, their second last. Ben Canute, who has been his engine, Ben Canute, when if he doesn't maybe not have the top end speed of some of the other guys in this shorter course racing, he's a longer course racer, is fantastic.
Yeah, he's got a great engine. Yeah. He's very fit, technically good on the whole, and he just commits to the racing. He's like, I'm here to race. I'm not here to be a passenger in this race. I'm here to do. These guys are starting to look at each other a bit tactically now. They don't really want to take it on. They know it's going to come down to the run. And Ben Canute, he races clever. He races he knows he's not always a great runner, so he races with that in mind, and that's why he gets some really good results.
Hayden Wild at the front of this chasing pack, who are still 40 seconds back, but are fighting out for competition points. And they're at 2 leaders. You couldn't split them all day. 11 seconds was the gap as they jumped off the pontoon first up, and that was as big as it's gotten all day, without a doubt, as our women look on and enjoy this spectacular racing from Super League Triathlon Malta. The last time through transition on the bike, they're out into lap 4, and it's Vincent Louis, currently our championship leader, versus our second place in the championship, Henry Schumann. And nothing has separated the two of them, and I have no idea what's going to happen. I guess I have to go. Well, I don't know. What's your prediction from this point, gentlemen?
It's hard to bet against Vincent Louis, but I think, you don't know, Schumann has produced some good runs. You know, he ran him relatively close in Jersey, actually, and Vincent has had to catch up that extra gap. And he looks laboured. You know, we didn't see this much in Jersey with, you know, his face actually looking like he's really going hard, whereas Schumann does look very composed, to be fair. So I think it's hard to call, and it's going to be, who knows whether he's thinking about the overall picture as well, and keeping an eye on where Murray might be or might not be.
Well, at the moment, we still have Murray to come through our timing screens. The top 7 have done all that, down to Canute at 42 seconds back. So Murray's still trying to bridge that gap to that group of 5 led by Hayden Wild, with Brownlee, Mislachuk, Leo Bergeret and Ben Canute. But these two are just stuck together, and we have a lap and a half on the run to go in this men's equaliser, and it is going to be an absolute cracker. Cannot wait to see these guys run it out on that uphill finish, as well as we saw in the women's. And Super League Malta has turned it on in a big way, and they're enjoying some world-class racing.
Yeah, this is going to be a fascinating last run here. The transition is going to be crucial again. You know, giving up a couple of seconds when you're already right on that red line is not what you want to do. And it's not what Henry needs. You know, that could have been a few seconds. I think you can see they're both pretty tired. You know, they're not.
Henry's going to come out first. Here he is, just.
But Vincent right on the shoulder, just nothing to separate them at all. It'll be good to see if Murray's made any more inroads. It's down to 14 seconds on that lap. What can he run himself onto the podium from here, both in this one and for the overall? But yeah, they're focusing on the front. I would expect to see Vincent Louis is going to sit on his shoulder. They've both got the super shoot to take. They're going to go around that super shoot, and he's going to go for it on that downhill.
Yeah, he's done that all day. Yeah. And Henry Schumann will know that too, because he's seen it happen to him multiple times already over the course of this one. And here is our group coming in, and a good transition here will help. Don't forget Richard Murray, quickest in transition easily over the course of this year. That was a great transition from Johnny. But Hayden Wild has managed to come out in front.
Can Richard Murray, how many of these guys can he run down? You know, if he can run all of them down, he's on the podium. If he can only run a couple of them down, that could be crucial when it comes to the overall standing.
Yeah,
so
it all depends on positioning of those 5, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, yeah. Louis is actually taking it on a bit. I didn't expect that. I thought he's hurting.
He's hurting, isn't he?
Yeah, he's looking down.
And it's around this time in Jersey, if you remember, that Henry Schumann kicked.
He
kicked a bit early.
We're missing it, but he's kicking now. The camera. Yeah, there you go. The cameras go back.
Now you're directing as well, Ali. Thank you so much for that. We head back to the front.
He's got the head
Brownlee taking over the telecast. And Schumann, he kicked a little early in Jersey, and he'll remember that, and he was in exactly this position, and he got run down. So the question is, when does he go now? He's hurting Vince. Look at his face.
Vince just if he gets his turnaround, he knows he needs to get to this turnaround
and use the downhill
to get back on and recover. And if
well,
he can do
Schumann knows that too, so he needs to give himself a little bit of a gap, and he's done that.
Vincent will launch here. He has to
get himself back in touch, because he's already. But it's hard running downhill as if you're already in the red as well, because you just haven't got it. But
he looks a little bit less, a little bit out of order in his upper body, but he's closing the gap.
Yeah, he's closed that down to what he needs to. He just needs to. He'll be thinking, get round this corner, hang on the flat bit, and give it all I've got in that last uphill sprint, 40-45 seconds.
All right, there's 3 who've managed to break away from the back 2, and they might be caught by Murray. We'll keep an eye on that.
Vincent's gone to the front here, and that's purely to try and slow Schumann down, I'd imagine. He knows if he can get to the front, and he doesn't have to cope with a kick out that corner. Look, he's running up against the barrier.
He squeezes him off there, doesn't he?
He
uses every trick in the book. We saw him do that same thing in the swim with Tyler Mislachuk on Schumann's feet yesterday. He's a very tactical racer, all within the rules.
And he's going as hard as he can. Yeah. He knows if he was behind Schumann would sense that a little bit more. He'd hear the hard breathing, he'd hear the labouredness of his breathing, and by being in front, he's controlling the pace. and he's also not quite showing his weakness to Henry.
I'm calling Schumann.
Me too.
I think he looks a lot more comfortable on that hill. Vincent Louis put his head down. He was saved.
We did that with Summer Cook 2 hours ago or an hour ago. When Katie Zafiris came back.
But what did he say in Jersey? He said if it gets to the last 400 metres, it's
good
over.
luck. Yeah, well,
it's over. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out now, won't we? Yeah.
I just think on that climb...
He'll appreciate that, you bringing that up, if he can't in fact do it. But Schuman's back on the front now.
Yeah, he's going out. I think this could be Schumann's move, though.
Yeah, it's too early, I think.
Yeah, I think he's going out hard. Louis is just counting down the metres now. He's going, get me inside the last 300.
Yeah, there's almost an air and inevitability.
But it's not a flat sprint. It's not a flat sprint. It's an uphill sprint finish. He had his head down on the climb. He was really grimacing, and Henry's got to... Oh, wait, well, this is going to be so interesting.
He's got himself on the
shoulder.
He really has.
He's on the shoulder.
This is a match race.
Vincent Louis, we've got 200 metres uphill to decide who will win the men's equaliser, and it is neck and neck. Henry Schumann of South Africa, number 4 in the blue. Vincent Louis, number 29, and here he goes. He kicks, and is there a response from Schumann? I don't think there will be.
Schumann's given up.
He has.
He's given up.
He has, and he was right, and the look of pain on Vincent Louis' face, and he heard your commentary, Alan. He thought, I have to back it up now, and he's done exactly that. Vincent Louis, he punches the sky. He's happy, and well done. What a race from Vincent Louis. He'll take the win. Henry Schumann gave it absolutely everything he had to stay with him. Led for large portions of this one, and these two have been dominant over the course of Super League this whole season. They are 1 and 2 in the championship, and they are 1 and 2 today.
We've got a race on for third place here. It's between Mitchell Shook and Johnny.
Let's go back to the action if we can.
We'll see them coming up the hill. This is Murray.
Murray.
He's done all he can to get through the field, but there's 3 or 4 people in front of him.
Schomburg gets eliminated. Where's 3rd and 4th and 5th? That's the question. Brownlee fighting.
Here we go.
There he is, and the fight between Brownlee and Mislachuk, and Tyler Mislachuk is going to do it for 3rd, and that could change things. That could change things. Well done for Tyler, and you can see what it means to him as well. Johnny Brownlee gets 4th, Hayden Wild 5th, and there's another sprint on at the back end between Leo Bergeret and Ben Canute. Bergeret will get it. He'll get it, and there is congratulations. Every one of these guys has given everything they've got, and the mutual respect is huge. Canute comes through in 7th.
With Richard Murray just off the back.
Look at that gap. They managed to hold off Murray, and that's going to hurt his chances of a 3rd spot on the podium. Richard Murray, he'll finish in 8th position, which means he'll add 8 points to his 25 and end up on 37.
That's tough racing. Very tough racing. Tyler Mislachuk had a great day yesterday. Great race today. He'd be very happy with the round.
Yeah, he has a good race today. He paced it well, and he was there when he needed to be at the end. From his start position, he stayed in with those guys when he needed to be good on the last run. He obviously had it. Hayden Wild as well in 5th place. He's had another good result there and a good day. He should be really happy with that.
I think if my maths is correct, which it usually is not, Vincent Louis will be your round winner, and he'll add 25 championship points to the 25. Look at the pain on the face of Richard Murray. He has worked as hard as he possibly can.
He's had a hard day out there.
He really has.
He's basically had to go max for the entire thing to try and get back on.
And Henry Schumann on 39 total points from the weekend will come in 2nd, and I think Richard Murray will do the job with 8 to add to 25 and end up in 3rd, and he has earned it, hasn't he?
Richard Murray 3rd overall.
I think so.
Oh, wow. He really has. He really, really has. He took a lot of chances to get back in it. I think he thought he was going to run himself in, but you have to pay the piper at some point when you go that hard that early. I agree with you, Ali. I think Henry Schumann will go back, look at this race, and be a little bit disappointed. I think he went a little early. I think he had Vincent Louis after that first lap, and Louis just he gets that confidence the closer he gets to home. And
I think if Henry had committed on that first downhill, if that gap went 5 seconds to that bottom corner, he would have won that race.
5 seconds it was in the end for Schumann. Tyler Mislachuk 49 seconds back, and he really earned that one over Jonathan Brownlee, 51 seconds. It was a further 8 seconds back to Hayden Wild of New Zealand, who has just exploded onto the Super League scene. The under-19 Xterra World champ Leo Bergeret was 7 seconds further back. Ben Canute another 3 seconds, and then the gap in the end to Richard Murray was 15 seconds, and he really, really worked for that one. Andreas Schilling and Igor Polyansky are your top 10 place getters. Polyansky was third or fourth off in the swim along with Schomburg, and he had a bit of a lonely race and obviously would have been eliminated had we continued to go on. And great pictures of Malta as we wrap this one up. I think Vincent Louis, Henry Schoeman and Murray will take the top three, but Murray on 33 points ahead of Johnny Brownlee and Tyler Mislachuk on 32 points. So in fact, if Johnny had won that sprint over Tyler, he would have taken third place from Richard Murray.
Really?
So Tyler Mislachuk needs to get a handshake from Richard Murray for allowing him into third spot on the podium. So that was absolutely fantastic. Annie is with the winner down there right now. It is Vincent Louis.
Vincent, perhaps not quite as easy as Jersey, but you certainly saved the best until last.
Yeah, that was my goal, coming here and still keeping the overall and going to Mallorca with the pink jersey. But yeah, I said in Jersey that was the toughest race I ever done, but I cannot date it to today.
What have you got to say about Henry? Because he did put up a good fight, didn't he?
Yeah. It took me some time to catch him up. That was a bit long. I expect like catching him a bit earlier, but yeah, I just catching him at the end of the first leg, so I had to swim up the front, and then on the bike he was really strong, made me suffer, and on the run he's like really lighter than me, so on the hill I suffered every time, but yeah, I got a good kick. I said in Jersey that when I can see the finish line it's over for the opponent, and I'm not a liar.
Congratulations, Vincent. Great racing.
Thank you.
Oh, that was absolutely outstanding, was it
not?
not?
A liar.
I said in
And he's
Jersey,
not.
when it's over, it's over. I'm not a liar.
And he's true. He's
Yeah,
not.
he is absolutely correct. When you've got the goods like Vincent Louis does, you can back it up with whatever chat you like, and that's exactly what he's done. And here is the highlights from it. It was 11 seconds, the gap between the two of them, and the Schilling hit the deck there, and that did not look like fun. He recovered to at least finish the race down in about 11th position. It was a race in two, though, as this thing progressed, and Henry Schoeman and Vincent Louis were the two, and he was the chasing pack, and you couldn't split them all day. Schoeman on the first run was pretty quick, and it forced the chasing pack to all take the super shoot together. Meanwhile, these two were stuck like glue across the course of the second half of this Equalizer. Straight into the water for the second half, and this was the swim. Schoeman electing to stay on the feet of Vincent Louis and just conserve a little bit. And he did look subsequently the more composed athlete, especially when it came to times like this, staying in the saddle. There was a lot of pain face coming from Louis, and the battle at the back was an interesting one as well, but these two just a class above.
Absolutely, yeah. We kind of thought this might happen at the start, that the gap back from Louis to the guys behind was big enough that meant it was apart. But yeah, it was all about these two all day, to be honest.
Yeah. It's been like that all series, really. These two have been the class acts, the standouts.
Absolutely have been. And how good was that last kick? He was not a liar whatsoever. That was very, very quick. We'll go down to Annie with Henry Schoeman right now.
Perhaps a touch of deja vu, Henry. We thought you had it on the last downhill, but you didn't quite have enough to beat the storming Frenchman.
Yeah, Vincent Louis is running really well, so I mean, to be second behind him, I'm actually really happy. I gave it everything I had, and it was a good battle.
Let's talk about the first run, because it appears that's where you allowed him to get it back into contact.
Yeah, I was just trying to go at my own pace. If he caught up, that would be okay, and then we do the second triathlon as a battle. But I didn't want to go out too fast and then just have nothing towards the end, because I know Vincent Louis has a very strong back end towards the finish. So just had to keep a little bit of, if I could.
Was there a point that you thought you might get him on the run? Because certainly the guys in commentary were saying Henry looks like he's the strongest.
Yeah, on the second run, I tried to really go up that first hill as fast as I could and see how he was feeling. I got a little bit of a gap, but his downhills are really great, and I'm not the best downhill runner, so he caught back up to me, and then it came down to that last sprint up the hill.
Yeah, and you said to me just then you had nothing left. You couldn't quite believe what he had left in the bag.
Yeah, he's got a really good sprint, so hats off to him, and I guess I got something to work on.
Great stuff. Congratulations, Henry.
Thank you.
There was an air of inevitability about it, I guess, when it came to the bottom of that hill. And we'll have a look at the battle as it unfolds, but when we got to that back end, we knew the kick was coming, and it did. But there were times, certainly, as Annie mentioned, that we thought that Henry maybe just was within himself a little bit.
Well, it was interesting to hear him say he really worked that hill, because I saw that was where I saw Vincent Louis really struggling, and he just doesn't look like he's working hard. And there it is, as you said, Vincent is remarkable on the descents, and I think that's what put him into a little bit of trouble.
But Henry looked great, literally, until Vincent Louis came past him with 100 metres to go and got a metre gap. His face was there, and then all of a sudden it was a disaster. So, you know, he holds his composure really, really well until it really isn't good.
You'll see it here.
Yeah,
he looks fantastic.
Up the hill. I mean, he does. He doesn't look like he looks like he has another gear to go to in response. And there's the kick. And
thank God.
He knew he didn't.
Look, to me, that's possibly more of a psychological thing than it is a physical thing, because it's not how hard he's going, it's because some guy is moving away from him.
Well, that's the question I have. Now we go to Mallorca in a week's time. It's happened in Jersey, exactly the same thing. It happened here, exactly the same thing. What does he do mentally to get over that? Because it's very possible that we arrive at a similar situation at some point across next weekend.
He has to exploit the possible weakness in Vincent, which is the swim compared to Henry. Henry's got a great swim, but also making it hard across the whole triathlon. You know, he could have put him in trouble there with 2 minutes to go on that downhill. You know, if you can do that in Jersey, just maybe.
All right, it is time for the podium. We're going to have our race winners. We know who they are, and then we're going to have our championship standing and find out whether my maths is any good. Time to head down to the MC and to the podium right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you the ceremony for Super League Malta Day 2 Equalizer. Today we have Lionel Gerarda, Head of Events at Malta Tourism Authority, presenting the medals. In third place today, from Canada, Taylor Misselchuk.
Good for him.
Silver medalist today, from South Africa, Henry Schoeman. Race winner for Super League Malta Day 2 Equalizer, from France, Vincent Louis.
All right, there are your race winners, and a worthy effort from Vincent Louis. Good to see Tyler Misselchuk, who had a win last week in Italy and a great race yesterday as well, have another fantastic performance and a good sprint. And if my maths are correct, it looks like the fact that he beat Johnny Brownlee to the line gave Richard Murray third spot on the podium and $10,000 by 1 point. So we'll see in a second if I am indeed correct, but great racing once again as we see the Schofield brothers. You're not seeing double. They are identical twins there, with Ollie Turner all in the white and Igor Polyansky on the right. And there's a real brotherhood feeling between these guys. They get to spend a whole week together and just hang out together and mix sometimes, because outside of Super League, it's a little more cliquey in terms of who hangs out with who trains with who, etc. But there's a nice mix here.
Yeah, for those three, they're out of their skin. I was talking to them at breakfast 2 mornings ago, and to be sitting in a room with Henry Schoeman and Richard Murray, it blows their mind. They're wearing the white jersey because they're 21 years of age or under, and so for them it's a very exciting thing.
Absolutely correct. Now it is time for your round podium, and indeed Richard Murray is in third position, 2 South Africans and a Frenchman. We head down to our MC.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we present to you the award ceremony for Super League Malta overall winners. And we now call on Mr. Leonid Bogdalski, co-founder and chairman of Super League Triathlon, to make the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, in third place, from South Africa, Mr. Richard Murray. In second place, from South Africa, Mr. Henry Schoeman. Ladies and gentlemen, overall winner for Super League Malta from France, Vincent Louis. I would now like to call upon Andrew Gretsch to present the checks for third place to Richard Murray. Second place, Henry Schoeman. And our champion of Malta, Vincent Louis from France.
What a fantastic effort from Vincent Louis, who picks up another $20,000 check to add to the one he picked up in Jersey. He'll retain the pink jersey as we head to Mallorca in a week's time. But superb racing from him. That kick was just fantastic, and we saw pink jersey in the women as well. Katie Zafiris do the same job. So great racing across the course of the weekend, and it played out how I guess many people thought it would.
Yeah, similar. I think we all thought that those two could well go away from the start, and it was close between them. And when it came down to a run at the end, it's hard to bet against Vincent Louis. Yeah. But, you never know in Super League racing, and that's one of the beauties of it.
Well, I think the takeaway from this is Richard Murray be very, very happy with himself. Yesterday's race, he did defeat Vincent Louis. He shows that he is beatable if you take the chances and you push the pace early, and I think he'd be very, very happy with that third place after today. When we saw that TT swim the other night at 50 seconds back, it was I thought it was game over.
A good week also for Henry Schoeman, getting engaged on Tuesday and picking up $15,000 in a second place on Sunday. We handed him a bottle of champagne on Tuesday after he got engaged, and as we handed it to him, he started shaking it automatically because he's so used to shaking bottles of champagne he gets given. I was like, no, that one is for drinking. For drinking, Henry. There you go. Championship point standings after this round in Malta. Vincent Louis, a perfect 50 from 50. 8 points the gap now to Henry Schoeman. Tyler Mislichuk rockets up into third position overall alongside Richard Murray. Jonathan Brownlee drops to fifth. Leo Bergeret, 22. Hayden Wild was sixth. He's been joined by the Frenchman on 22 points as well. Ben Canute drops to 16 points. Christian Blumenfeld, he wasn't here, so he's dropped down to ninth from second. And Andreas Schilling, having had a pretty consistent weekend, he'll pick up 8 points, and that's your top 10 in terms of championship points. What a weekend, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me in the commentary box. How much did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I thought it was a very, very difficult course. We looked at it before we came here. I knew it was going to be challenging. To hear the feedback from the athletes was spectacular. I really enjoyed watching both the men and the women's racing.
What about you, Alec?
Fantastic venue, isn't it? I mean, look at the views we're seeing now. What a great place, great triathlon course, great showcase for triathlon, and I think it's the first time, for such a big event in Malta as well, so something really special.
Absolutely correct, really supercharging multi-sport in Malta as well. So we've run out of time, on behalf of Chris McCormack, Alistair Brownlee, Annie Emerson, and the entire Super League team, it is bye for now. We'll see you in Mallorca in 5 days' time.